Welcome to a new era of wrestling podcasts, where the hot takes, fantasy booking, nostalgic trips, and everything that happens in your day-to-day life always comes back to the squared circle. It's the Everything is Pro Wrestling podcast with Mike DeSilva, Josh Flanagan, and Nick Flanagan.
And we are back. 2-week hiatus. A lot of life happened in these last 2 weeks for yours truly. But it feels good. Episode 20. I know that because I already made the artwork.
Oh, all right.
Hey,
you got ahead of the game.
I got ahead of the game a little bit. Let me grab my beer over here.
Have time on your hands, sir?
I got a little bit of time. Yeah. I had it. I'm a dad now.
Woo!
That's right.
Faction has grown. And yes, this is a special outdoor Summerslam podcast. Everything is Pro Wrestling podcast. Mike D back here with the Kayfabe cousins, Flanabam, Flanny. It's good to be back. I'm a dad now. We're outside.
Which is awesome.
We're sweating. I apologize to my co-hosts here because I picked the hottest day probably of the last 3 weeks to do this.
To be fair, if it wasn't this hot, it would have been a torrential downpour.
That's also true.
So-
Yeah. So it's valid. So here we are. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day in Massachusetts, and I figured we might as well go outside and do the SummerSlam episode of Everything's Pro Wrestling podcast, right? But
It feels right.
But yeah, it does. It feels right, boys. It feels good to be back, man.
Feels great.
Great to be back.
It feels great. We were joking. It's felt like
I was
been
saying,
so long for us.
Especially with my line of work and all the things that have been going on in it lately. These past 3 weeks have felt like the longest 9 months of my life.
Yeah.
Like they have been. There's been a lot going on.
We won't tell a certain new mother that.
No.
But
no.
It's felt like it's been a long
Because
time
I think.
for us.
Yeah.
I
She
think-
probably doesn't
I
want to
think
hear
she'd
it.
be like, well, that's not even close to what a 9 months
you want me to
feel
tell you
like.
about 9 months?
Yeah.
Like
So it has. I imagine for you, Mike, it's probably felt like one long day.
If that
The
even.
last couple weeks.
You know, it's funny. I'm somebody that I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say it, but people love to give advice.
Yes.
Right? They love to tell you, oh, yeah, I remember when I got married and certain things, and I remember now with the baby coming, it was like, oh, dude, you're not going to get any sleep, this, and that. I'm somebody that just likes to experience it for myself.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yes, I appreciate the kind words. I know the heart and the thought is there, but it's something that you don't actually know until you're doing it. Now, with that being said, everything everybody told me, it's still not, the extremes aren't enough.
Yep.
You
Right.
definitely don't get any sleep. The emphasis couldn't be more on that. But you also don't love anything more than you've
Right.
ever loved in your life, which everybody always told me that would be the case, but you don't actually really ever understand it
Until it happens.
until it happens.
I get
So
that.
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing.
There's no Brian Gewirtz for parenting. You can't book this shit.
No.
You have to experience
Yeah.
it. Everything is different.
And
Obviously, every child is a blessing, but they're all different and have different needs. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I, as not a father, but also someone who just recently got married, can relate to all of the advice. And again, always appreciated and welcomed and thank you.
Right.
But you got to experience all these things.
Yeah.
Everything is different. Everything's going to look different, sound different, feel different. And to your point, Mike, that's a part of the beautiful part.
Right.
That is the beautiful part of all of it, is the experiences that you get to go through with your partner, with that child, and everything that comes along with that. There's nothing like it, and I very much look forward to experiencing one day.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great thing, man. And I'm looking forward to, I remember this past Mania specifically, my wife at this point obviously was already pregnant. And I remember being more conscious of the families around and
Right.
seeing, the parents there with their kids at WrestleMania. And I would remember being in that moment thinking, I can't wait to bring at the time I didn't know if it was going to be, I have a daughter, by the way. Shout out to Lucia, a.k.a. Luciador. She's good. Wife already nixed the Luchador mask for Halloween,
Oh, that's disappointing.
which is disappointing.
Fuck,
But
I don't think I can get
Does that
a
mean
refund.
divorce papers are on the.
yeah,
on the
I
way?
don't. I think she said something about a 3.5 month or 3.5 month year old baby can't wear a mask, I guess. So
I mean, says who?
I don't know
in
who-
a book or something. Fuck books.
I don't know who made that rule up, but it's bullshit. It's
So
bullshit.
Nick, I
man.
now have an infant luchador mask if you want it. I don't know if you have any use for it,
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
It might fit on my hand.
yeah, seriously. But no. So it's been good. It's been a lot of fun, man. I look forward to introducing her to the great sport and sports entertainment that is professional wrestling. And again, it's just comes back down to everything is pro wrestling, because there's been multiple times in the 2 weeks that I've been a father where I've made references to things from the wrestling past.
Yep.
You know what I mean? For example, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and I'll ask my wife, okay, are we going to have a ladder match to decide which parent has to change the diaper at 2 a.m.? I think that's a fair question. That's something that Eddie Guerrero would ask.
How does that work?
Yes.
Like, would you hang the diaper and whoever
I
got
have
it
a
would
very-
hand it to the loser, and now you have to go do it? Is that how that would work?
No, I think basically you
The
hang.
baby is on the pole.
No,
Yeah,
no. The
baby
baby
on
is
the
on the
pole.
pole. The ladder, you put a pillow up there, and whoever gets the pillow
Gets
gets
to
to
go back
go
to
lay
bed.
Yeah,
down
you get to go back to bed.
and use the pillow, because pillows these days are a premium. But anyways, that's enough about that. I appreciate all the love that I received.
I had a good Mike Lindell joke, but we'll
yeah.
move
Go
on.
ahead, go ahead. No, let's hear it.
No. I'm kidding.
Is
Um,
it your pillow? Mike Lindell's the guy that makes my pillow.
Oh, okay. I was lost on that one. But
He's
yeah,
also off his rocker, but
Yeah, he is.
we don't even got to go there.
which I could be argued that I am too. So
Yeah, hey.
we have a lot in common there.
Yeah, but at the moment, like, yours is from sleep deprivation.
True.
His is just because he's insane.
Sleep deprivation is a real thing, man.
Yeah.
It is a real thing. And doing morning radio for 8+ years now does not prepare you for that. So,
And you get to go back to that.
I know.
like a
I
month
got
or
it.
two.
It's not
I
like
got
you're
another
picking up
4
on
weeks.
more sleep.
yeah, I got a little over 4 weeks, so I'm back. And
Enjoy every
I'm
minute.
enjoying every
Absolutely.
second of it.
Enjoy
I'm enjoying
every
every
minute.
It's
second
going
of
to
it.
go by so fast for you.
Yeah, because then you're going to come back from work one day and she's going to be running around the house.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It
You're
already
like, oh,
feels
shit,
like
when did this happen?
she's kind of at that point now. But regardless, that was why we had the 2-week hiatus. But we're back just in time for a big SummerSlam preview. Obviously, it's SummerSlam weekend. A lot to get into there, but I want to cover a few things that happened this week, starting with probably the biggest news outside of SummerSlam in the professional wrestling world. Tony Khan, Shane McMahon, they had this not-so-private meeting. I don't really know what, like, the picture kind of felt like staged a little bit.
It felt staged on one side,
Yep.
though.
Yeah.
Like, Tony looks like, he's like, oh, he's got like that kid in the candy store, like, caught with his hand in the cookie jar thing, and Shane has a look on his face. He's like,
What the fuck?
Can we help you? We're trying to do business here.
I saw a tweet, and it was perfect, and it was the look on Tony Khan's face was Chris Hansen just opened the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit. But to your point, 100%, but considering the meeting and everything that happened, you would imagine Tony knew.
Right.
And
It
Shane
feels
was
like-
the one who was like, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
It feels like Tony's the one who's like, all right, in like 20 minutes, come in and take our picture.
Yep. And they came in at like 16.
Like, oh no, don't open that door.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like pretend to
As
act
I'm
shocked.
yeah.
Right.
Perfect. It absolutely sounds like Tony Khan.
Yes, it does.
100%.
The little bit we know about him as just a human being, that absolutely sounds like
That
him.
definitely tracks.
I'm not gonna. I've never once said that I think Tony Khan is a bad person. I just think he's a little bit of a dweeb.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
He's 13-year-old, all three of us.
Yeah,
Yes.
he really is.
He's just 30-something.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I was a billionaire and you know, we would be doing the same shit. We can't really. I
feel like
hold on. I would like to think we would be a lot cooler than him. Though.
100%.
I just feel like
100%.
in that situation, if I'm meeting someone on a business perspective, even if I am a billionaire that's living my dream, I'd be more professional about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing. It almost comes across as a little unprofessional.
You wouldn't stand up and do a CM Punk chant.
No, I probably wouldn't.
Okay.
I'm also not the
But I
biggest
also would
CM Punk
imagine,
fan like
and
he
I,
was. So.
and I know we talked about this on the pod before, you know, Shane McMahon and what that can mean, and I had my conspiracy theories and fantasy booking about where this may go. But also, Tony Khan, you are on the internet. You're on Twitter probably more than all three of us, so you know what's
yeah,
going
he
on.
is.
And also, you're a wrestling fan, so you would know that a meeting that you would have with Shane McMahon would be the topic of discussion. And if you wanted to keep it under wraps, even just out of respect for Shane, to figure out whatever you're discussing, to not ruin it, spoil it, whatever, to that point, you would think, okay, let me be professionally conducted. Even if it was a photo op after with the two of you, that was actual photo that went out if you want to do it that way. But clearly, that wasn't supposed to go down the way it went down from that image. It doesn't sound like did we get to the bottom of where the image came
Well,
from?
let me. We do have a statement from Shane McMahon, and you know, then we can get into what our idea of what this meeting meant and why it came about. Shane, after almost 24 hours, it was like just under 24 hours. I think it came out late last night.
Right.
It was late
Almost
last
even
night.
early this morning.
Right. I think it was like midnight, honestly,
Yeah.
if I'm
Lead,
remembering
Shane?
correctly.
Right.
He had a statement saying, Tony and I were connected through a mutual friend, and we had a great meeting. We talked about many things, but mostly about our shared love for the business and the rewards and challenges of working with family. I congratulated him on the 5-year anniversary of AEW and look forward to how he evolves the business moving forward. Okay, giving him his flowers. Something that obviously Father McMahon would never do.
Nope.
He would
Unless-
actually, you know, pretend AEW never existed and whatever.
He'd act like he doesn't know who Tony Khan is.
But let me ask the kayfabe cousins here. The statement, seems like Shane is kind of downplaying the fact that he's going to have any involvement with AEW. Are you guys buying it?
Yeah, the statement sounds like, and I don't want to question the validity in terms of did Shane write this or did somebody write this for him, but it sure sounds like someone who's had media training in his life.
Sure.
It sounds like someone who is sure to say all the right things without dropping any clues that could then open the doors to anything else. As you mentioned, giving him his flowers, trying to handle it respectfully so that whoever got wind of it or whoever heard it or whatever they're cooking up behind the scenes or not, it would come out there. So yeah, again, I think boilerplate statement makes sense, checked all the boxes. But I also don't really read into the statement much in terms of what that conversation was actually about.
No.
And granted, to what we just mentioned, we probably shouldn't know that at this point.
Right.
But yeah, I am sure they were discussing something. The photo then prompted this statement. I don't think we get this statement without that photo, obviously. So yeah, I think boilerplate language. Shane just obviously has been around the block and knows what he's doing.
I think without that photo, we probably get Shane being like, I don't know what you're talking
Yep,
about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He probably deny even having the meeting. And much to your point, I took a PR class in college. This statement is absolutely PR 101. Like, this is what how they tell you to write it. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if you had a PR person write it.
Yeah.
I also think it's a way, I agree with you, Mike, that it's trying to downplay it so that way if he does make a debut, it's not a ruined surprise. It's now like, oh shit, still. Or
Also,
could still be that.
How often, when you guys are just shooting the shit, right? Let's say, I mean, they're meeting in what was told to be a Arlington like private airport.
Yeah.
How often, when you're shooting the shit, is one person sitting down
and the other
and one person leaning over a chair? Yeah. Like, okay, I guess it's plausible.
If you're in a room like
but to
that,
me,
that could happen.
That's more of like a business discussion. Like Tony Khan sitting down, right, kind of laying out an idea, and Shane looked like he was kind of leaning in, listening, or giving ideas.
He was the one. It also kind of looks like he's dictating.
He was, yeah.
Right. Like it doesn't look
Power
like to me as
dynamics.
if they just met in some side room where they weren't supposed to be seen, and they're kind of just hanging out like bullshit. Like, hey man, good to see you, dude. Oh, congratulations on 5 years. This to me looked as if there were deeper conversations being had. And what does that mean for Shane McMahon and AEW? I don't know. I don't know if he comes in and he's a, to combat maybe the Young Bucks in regards to the EVP role, right? Maybe he comes in, he's more of like a GM, a GM role.
A capable Christopher Daniels.
Exactly, yeah.
One would
say.
Or maybe he's just there to outdo Darby Allin and jump off something really high.
Well, I mean, I think it eventually would lead to that. Yeah. I think if Shane isn't going to go back, Shane isn't going to go to AEW to just be a GM.
No.
He's going to go there and do some crazy shit. He wants to bleed.
That way.
He wants to jump off some tall shit. He probably knows his brother-in-law doesn't really have anything planned for him.
Which, to be fair, nor should he.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I get he's a name and he'll draw ratings, but like, I think all companies at this point in time really should be trying to develop the future, and Shane McMahon is not somebody who does that.
No, definitely not. But I am a Shane mark. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I fuck with Shane O'Mac, and I think that anytime he's been involved in a match, even recently, where I'm like,
where he tore his quads jumping over the Miz.
Yeah, that was not a good look.
He went full Vince.
The best in the world thing.
Listen.
Was
Shout
tough.
out to Snoop
that was
Dogg.
tough.
I forgot about that one.
That
too.
was tough. The best in the world thing was tough, but like,
and to think he was sweating more than we are in that.
Well,
that man can sweat.
Yeah,
that man can. Dude, I am sweat, bro. I don't know if it's coming across on camera.
No, you're looking good. It's a nice. You look golden.
The camera looks very dark right now.
As a Shane McMahon mark, that makes sense.
Yeah. Actually, sun is still a little bit in my eyes.
It's getting there, but it's moving. It's moving.
But
I think too, to your original, the first thing you said, Mike, they met in a private Dallas airport.
Right.
If you are just shooting the shit, you don't meet in a private Dallas airport. Now, I understand that the two of you aren't going to go meet at fucking Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right. But
I highly doubt you're meeting at the airport. The airport, to me, tells me, okay, you probably both flew in from different locations to have this meeting, so clearly it's a priority. I don't think that's something you just do to congratulate someone on 5 years, shoot the shit, hey, how's the family, X, Y, and Z. I think that's only something you do with business.
Right.
So I think even that, alluding to where they went, is even more for me, okay, clearly you're planning something here.
Yeah.
My only thing with that, actually, to both of your points a little bit, is, and I don't think this is what it is, but the way I could see them working around that is like, oh, well, we just happened to coincidentally both land there. We were in the airport on a layover, so we just hung out and talked to each other. And then with the standing city thing, it can be like, well, we were in there for a couple hours. I had to stretch out.
Yeah, the quads needed to be stretched out a little bit.
That's not what it is at all. I think both of you are right with what you're saying, but I could see that being the spin they use.
And there was also rumors leading up to that point that Shane McMahon
there was the rumor before that Shane talked to somebody, be like, could you imagine if I showed up at AEW?
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
because
guess
I'm
is
curious.
That was Chris Jericho. He said.
Well, I was
going to
say,
know
who do
it
we
was,
think
but
is a
my
mutual
guess
friend? Do we
it's
think
Chris
Jericho's a mutual
Yeah.
friend? I think so.
You think
I
so?
think so too.
I think him and Jericho are close.
I think it's likely Jericho. I do as well.
Who else
maybe
backstage?
Edge.
Edge can make a lot of sense. I don't know. I mean, since he's on the show, I mean, he could still obviously put the pieces together.
But I also don't remember timeline if this came out before Edge got hurt. I don't remember when this.
I think it was after
I don't
he
remember
got-
when the very first story broke.
I want to say it was after he got hurt, but it was close.
Okay.
They were fairly close in terms of being possibly a coincidence. But
The only other one I could think of is maybe like Dean Malenko, because I think he's a producer.
I was gonna
for
say
AEW.
I was
yeah.
thinking of like who's backstage at AEW that like has
Or
a history
even-
with Shane.
or possibly even Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin, I can see Dustin. Yeah.
Dustin.
So I
could
mean,
be.
there are a few. If I
could
had
see
to put my
Dustin.
money on it, though, I think it's Jericho. Although at the same time, I think if it was Jericho, sources would have revealed that by now.
Yeah.
AKA Jericho himself.
Yeah, Jericho probably would have revealed it on his own
but not
podcast.
as Jericho. No, I think he would have been the source that told Meltzer, "Hey, I
Yeah,
heard you
yeah.
talked to Jericho."
Yeah.
Oh, you think he'd be doing an inside job on himself?
Yeah, I do. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he does.
Okay, fair
Because
play.
I remember that coming out during the CM Punk story when that first broke about the backstage interaction. There was always in the stories just one random thing about like Chris Jericho, actual locker room leader, was there. It's like
Yes,
this
yeah, when
plays
he had the
nothing
meeting.
with the
Uh-huh.
story.
Yeah.
So why is this in here?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't put anything past Christopher Jericho
No.
these days. Not a thing.
Nope.
But what if the mutual friend is Vincent Kennedy
Do you think-
McMahon?
Imagine.
Do you think he was upset?
Like,
Yeah,
you
but
guys
they-
know,
but they're not
you
even
guys
in good
know where I
graces
went. No,
together.
they're not. They're
No.
not. And I think that's crazy. But again, you guys know where I went on my fantasy booking a few weeks ago. Those
Yes,
of you who didn't
yes.
listen, I do have this crazy theory that it could be Vince and Shane are in cahoots in all of this because obviously what Paul is doing is very anti what they did, and I don't want to speak for their actual real life relationships, but from what you hear and see, it doesn't seem like they're in the best places. We know Vincent McMahon at the end of the day as well,
Right.
so would not surprise me if somehow this is some sort of coup on Vince's part to then get back at Paul. I think it would be a terrible idea and it would blow up in his face, but I also don't put anything past that man these days.
I will say, if after the CM Punk Money in the Bank thing, if this also happens, I'm gonna need you to give me lottery numbers.
Yeah.
If again, we
Well,
are going
clearly
to Vegas.
I don't know them because
We are
I'm
going
here.
to a casino right away
Yeah.
if that ends up being
Yeah,
true.
this pod would be happening in a very Pat McAfee adjacent Thunderdome
Yes.
/ fun house if
Yeah.
Hell
that was
yeah.
the case. So we'll get there
Which-
soon
yeah,
enough.
one day we'll get there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Shane,
Time will tell.
Tony Khan, AEW, if anything at all. Maybe Shane is telling the truth. Maybe it was nothing more than just bullshitting. You know,
Just to backtrack a little bit, do you guys think Jericho was upset that Hulk Hogan was the one that got asked to go to the RNC instead of him?
Oh, very much so.
I don't know.
Very much so. I just don't think they wanted to see Chris Jericho's chest.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think.
He's also, to be fair, let's be real, Hulk Hogan, Chris Jericho, with all due respect to Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms
Yeah.
of
And
legacy,
he's Canadian,
yeah.
not even American.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But he is
Valid.
a big Trump guy.
Yeah. If you want to be very polarizing and rally your base, you're
Right.
going to go get Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
regardless of what that base is. You're going to go get Hulk Hogan.
I'll be completely honest, I watched that speech and I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. Hogan, baby.
Took your vitamins?
And I don't even like Hulk Hogan, but he got
Yeah.
me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, he can do that. He has the power
He's a
to do that.
charismatic motherfucker.
But that is the tough part about, I guess the tough part about everything being pro wrestling.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
everywhere. So even if you want to escape it in other mediums of life, you can't, folks.
Right.
You just can't.
And the funny thing about that was I watched that while I was at the hospital waiting for my daughter to be born.
That's true. That would have
And-
been that would have been.
It was the day before.
No, Hogan was Thursday. He was the same day as Trump. I remember that because we've had to talk
Yeah.
about it a lot.
Oh
it
yeah,
would've
so
been
it was
the day
after she was after she was born.
It
Then
would've been
yeah,
the day
it
after.
was
I
after.
am
she
would've
was
been in the hospital during
I am
that.
I was
glad
still
that
in the
that
hospital
wasn't
for sure. I
on.
watched in
That's what I'm saying.
hospital.
You still
I'm
would've
just
been in
glad
the
that that's not. I'm glad Hulk Hogan giving that speech wasn't the first thing your daughter heard.
No.
That's being born
Absolutely
to Hogan, ripping his shirt for a Trump shirt
glad.
underneath.
No.
We all know we're going to indoctrinate her into pro wrestling, but I'm glad that wasn't her
Same.
first
Yeah,
introduction.
she has no choice. But I will say this: the watching Hulk Hogan while I'm at the hospital, my daughter had already just been born. I'm sorry, timeline's not my best thing these last 2 weeks, and
I get it.
I remember thinking for like a brief second that I was in some type of fever dream. Where like, wait, so my daughter is over there. I'm laying in this like shitty ass
Hulk
couch
Hogan's
bed.
yelling at me.
Hulk Hogan is freaking out in 2024 on stage at the Republican National Convention
Yeah.
for Donald Trump running for president. I was just like, wait, what the fuck? Did I
especially as a
also
wrestling
get
fan,
an
'cause you're
epidural
like,
to
yeah.
my brain?
Right.
My, did my wife give me some of the shit that she took to give birth? I don't know.
Yeah, you
Uh,
probably
but-
thought you woke up. What WrestleMania was that? Donald Trump's WrestleMania. What
The one
WrestleMania?
that he was there,
Yeah,
23.
yeah. So that's
23,
probably
he's there, but 4 and 5, where Hogan would have been, were at Trump Plaza.
Okay,
So it could have been
Something-
either
yeah.
one
You
of
woke
those.
up. You thought you woke up on one of those days.
Right.
It was
I
like,
didn't
where
know.
the fuck am
I didn't know if I was awake.
No, I get that. I I wasn't sleep deprived, and I didn't know if I was awake watching
Hey, as
that.
long as you didn't walk into the room and point at your wife and go, you.
No,
Before
hell
the big
no.
boot.
Or
That's
rip
all
her-
that
rip
matters.
your shirt
Yeah,
off.
or rip her fucking poor gownie off that. Yeah. Like,
Bro, listen, no. None of that shit would have flied. And I will take this time to shout out just women in general.
Yes.
Listen, I
End
know,
of sentence.
again, I'm
Just-
not trying to make this
You
up.
don't even need to
Shout out to
explain
women.
it.
Shout out women
to
in general. First of all, obviously, like, I don't think it needs to be said that we are pro women on this
Yes,
podcast.
yes.
Okay,
Very
I think
pro.
that needs to like
Very
not
pro.
be said.
in all spaces.
But
Yes.
then experiencing labor with your
Bruh.
to-be mother of your child, could be your wife, fiance, significant other,
Could be
one
Mae
night
Young.
hookup.
Right.
Could be Mae Young.
With a hand.
Witnessing what their body does to bring a life into this world, there is no comparison to that from a men's perspective.
Not even
No,
if you're Darby
Not
Allin.
even
Yeah.
being kicked in the nuts.
No.
Like some guys try to say.
But it's not even that. It's
No.
just from what we're capable of doing.
Right.
There is nothing we are capable physically,
Yeah.
mentally, spiritually that compares to a woman giving birth.
No.
Yep.
We'll just leave it at that.
So I got to ask now because now it's in my head and you brought it up and I wasn't going to go down here. But have you watched the entire new season of The Bear?
Yes, I have.
How accurate
As
is
have
that
I.
episode?
Actually, pretty accurate,
Okay.
and I actually used that as a reference.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Well, while we were there, and I don't want no spoilers.
Sugar, we love you, Sugar.
Shout out to Sugar.
Shout out to
Um,
Sugar.
And you too, Don.
But yes, it's pretty accurate. Where like contractions come, and it's like their life is going to end, and then 30 seconds later, they're talking to you about what
Yeah.
you're going to have for dinner that night.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's very accurate. Except I'm not Jamie Lee Curtis, thankfully, for my
Yeah.
wife. So.
Although
She's gonna
that
win
would
all
be
the
cool.
awards
Also,
for that
Jamie Lee
episode.
Curtis having the run of a
Bro.
lifetime.
No, she's amazing.
Bruh.
She's amazing.
Killing it
She's
right
amazing.
now.
Jamie Lee
shout out,
Curtis.
shout out to first of all, shout out to all women, but also shout out to
Shout out
Jamie Lee
all
Curtis.
women.
Yeah.
We're just gonna keep shouting out women randomly
Yeah.
throughout the podcast.
can't
Shout
do
out,
it enough.
ladies.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
We love
Everybody go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once because Jamie Lee Curtis fucking
Yeah.
kills it in that movie.
you. And watch The Bear. If
And
you're not
watch The
watching
Bear as well, yeah.
I imagine you are, because how can you not? But go watch The Bear if you're not watching it.
If you haven't, pause this, go watch it, and come back.
Yeah, because you're going to get to the Seven Fishes episode.
Oh,
Shout
yeah.
out to Jamie Lee Curtis. And
Oh,
then you're going to
she's
get to
so
this
good in that
episode
episode.
in season 3 with her and Sugar. I believe it's episode 7.
Yes.
And yeah, she steals
No,
the show.
8.
Once.
I think
Is it
it's
8? Okay, I know it's
'Cause
towards
there's
the
10.
end.
It's the second to last
6 is
episode.
Tina's episode, right? With Michael.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was
What'd you
a
guys
great
think of
episode.
season 3?
I thought it was really good, but not as good
Yes,
as the first two.
same.
Okay,
Same.
fair. I think that's a fair.
I don't know where I saw this, and I feel like it was like someone pretty noticeable who said this. Actually, yeah, somebody who I follow on Twitter, my buddy Ben Swain, who covers college football and a whole bunch of other things in the ACC. He said, he was like, for a show that shows you every single episode, the sign that says every second counts, I need you to make more
Yeah.
than seconds
Yeah.
count.
Yes.
And I think that was probably likened to a lot of the look backs and thinking, which
Yes.
we love those,
Yeah.
but also I want to see the story play
So,
out right now.
I will say, I don't know if you guys felt the same way. When I first watched that first episode, I loved how like artsy, in depth, like
Yes.
there's barely any dialogue in it. I'm like, this episode's amazing. Then we get to minor spoiler. Then we get to the cliffhanger ending of the season, and I'm like, all right, well now I don't like that first episode as much because we could have gotten more
We
in
could have
that
gotten
episode.
more. Yeah, I think that was my main. Again, great season.
Yeah.
Loved it. Still, arguably my favorite show actively on television right now.
I still think it's the best show on TV.
But
right
yeah,
now.
I think they departed a little bit from some of the things in
Yeah.
season 1 and 2 that we loved and that
Yeah.
were a little more appreciated. Obviously, the way it ends sets up for another great season, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, check it out if you haven't. It's still amazing.
And also the fact that they rushed through literally like a month in one episode.
Yes,
and you're
yeah.
like, all right. I mean,
and then
you
other
could've spread
episodes
that
go
out a
through
little bit
literally
more.
an
Yeah,
hour of
exactly,
the day.
yeah. The pacing of the.
Fair.
Also, there were a lot of, or more than usual, standalone character episodes.
Yes.
Like we had the Sugar in the giving birth episode, which
Yep.
was awesome. The Tina episode, which was also awesome.
But it
I
takes
feel like
away
there was
from the
one
overall
more that I'm
storylines.
forgetting about. But yeah, it takes away from like the actual story of
Yep.
the show.
I do like episodes like that though.
I do too. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong, but like
Tina's episode,
But
was
not the
Tina's
whole
episode was-
season.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's my thing. Like they did
And-
a bit too many this season.
Yeah,
'Cause they've done it
I don't
previously
want
with
this to be
Marcus and others.
spoilers for anybody there's a crossover because I know the Bear. Anytime there's an on-demand show, you can watch the whole thing at once. I always
Yeah.
feel bad because I give a few months.
At the same time, it's been more than a
It's been
month, so like
yeah,
you've
true.
had your
It's been
time,
at
people.
least a few weeks.
But
But
think-
overall, great show.
I think
Yes.
great show. I think my overall final thought on season 3 was I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, same.
Fair. I think that's very fair.
I think so. There was some great character building, but I think the overall story was like
A bit lacking.
not a lot happened.
Yeah.
basically nothing happened.
Not
realistically.
No, really. No story really moved forward.
You basically just had one big tease.
Yeah.
And then some character development.
Well, I was going to say the biggest storyline coming out of season 2 is nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
No, not really.
I mean,
so regardless, everybody's great in that
Still
show.
great.
Although
still great.
to tie it all back together into pro wrestling, John Cena was awesome on this season.
Of course.
He was so good. John Cena lately has been such a good actor.
I am waiting for the Maddie Matheson. I just need the Fack family spinoff.
Yes.
When are we getting that?
Too much
When are
facts
we
in season
getting
3,
that?
though.
Oh, I
A lot of them.
respectfully disagree.
I like them.
I love the facts.
Too much.
The facts had my favorite
And
line.
why do we treat them like 4-year-olds?
Because they're hilarious.
I know, but
they are.
everybody...
They
come
had-
on, man.
look,
It was overkill. It was
I forget-
overkill.
I'll be honest, I forget his first name. OG Fack had my favorite line of the whole season in the second episode where they're talking about sending the one guy to wine class. He's like, why don't I get to go to wine class? And I'm like, you're allergic to grapes. And he goes, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a good
so-
line.
No,
That is a great
their
line.
dialogue
Yes.
and Matt, shout out to Maddie Matheson because I've been a big fan of his for years, and I'm so glad to see him get it like a big moment like this. But yeah, just awesome. But again, everything is pro wrestling. Also, I'm going to Chicago for the first time in 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
So
You are?
the Second City Sinner.
You got to go to the Bear.
And I definitely plan on go checking out the original Bear of Chicagoland.
Yeah. You
Absolutely.
also have to go to Wrigley.
Yo,
Wrigley's
already.
incredible.
I purposely built the trip around Wrigley. Don't
Okay.
tell my wife this, but I already told her that. So we're going from a Tuesday to Friday, and the only time the Cubs are in town is starting on Friday, and we purposely got a flight out Friday night so that we can get to Wrigley on
When are
Friday
you-
afternoon.
Are you going the same week as the DNC?
Ooh,
Because that's also in Chicago.
maybe I'm going the 13th is when I leave. So
Oh, okay.
13
Then
to
I
like
think
16.
You might be able to
Meet
see
him by a
Megan Thee
week.
Stallion twerk some ass.
Damn,
That's
that
awesome.
would have been nice. But yeah, absolutely Wrigley. That was
That place
had
is
to happen.
so
There
incredible.
was no way I was going to Chicago for the first time and not going to Wrigley.
Yeah.
Yep. And I want to go sit exactly where Henry Rowe and Gardner sat
Yep.
and threw the guy out at home plate. That's
They
where I want to
also,
sit.
you can also go. They have a plaque like on the armrest of
West, where Bartman sat.
yeah, of
Yep.
where he sat.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I might have my
you
wife
guys
throw
are
a beer
getting your
on me.
Wrigley
Yeah.
history
Yeah.
here.
And so many people are going to be there pregame taking pictures
Yep.
because I went to Wrigley once. It's probably my favorite baseball field I've ever been to, and like I wanted to go do that, but there were too many people. I'm like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah.
Not gonna,
No, I'm
it's gonna
excited.
take me way
Very
too long.
excited.
You dipped
Hoping to
out?
find
Yeah.
some. Obviously, we know it's a great wrestling city, so
Yeah.
obviously trying to find some cool. If you've been to Chicago as a wrestling fan, is there any things that I should check out and see, or in general, obviously, please let me know.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah, Joe Hendry.
So that was all Shane and Tony Khan.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna touch on Joe Hendry quick before we get into SummerSlam preview. 27 minutes in, so everybody who's here for the SummerSlam preview, please be a little bit more patient because we got to get to the Joe Hendry concert.
Also, it's preparing you for this weekend for the. We're going to talk about the length of the pre-show, so
That's-
you can bear with us for 30
Exactly,
minutes,
yeah.
folks, because you're going to have to bear through a lot this
We'll
weekend.
get to
Exactly.
that, but yeah.
No pun intended.
So Joe
That-
Hendry,
I didn't even pick up with that. That's good.
it's funny to me that he's still a TNA
'Cause
wrestler.
contractually he is.
Contractually he is, but like,
From a legal standpoint, he is
and
still a
I
TNA
know we're
wrestler.
living in different times now, and I know that the forbidden door has been wide open between WWE and TNA for about a year now ish.
Not even. Only like
Yeah, but last year they had the couple Royal Rumble entrants
I
last
don't
year.
fully count that.
It was
Like
a nice tier. It was nice.
The
though.
real open door wasn't until Jordan Grace came and wrestled Roxanne to me.
Right, but
I mean, yes, they had
I think
Jordan
they
Grace
had
show up at
some-
the Rumble.
some
this
yeah,
year.
that pop was crazy.
But
I
the
certainly wasn't
other one was
expecting
Mickey James,
Mickey
though,
James.
and that's she more she had the WWE backing to it. Like she used to wrestle,
But she was still a
big
TNA
I get it. and they
superstar
let her
at the
bring
time.
the title out.
You know, that
but-
would have never happened. They called her the TNA Knockout Champion at the
But
time.
I just mean like Jordan Grace had no prior connection to WWE at all when they
Right.
brought her in. So to me, that's more when it actually started, in my opinion.
So
It's
Joe Hendry,
nitpicky, but I'm a nitpicky person.
you are without a doubt.
It's
a
been a
nitpicky
couple
person.
weeks. So
I have
Yeah.
I have an even more nitpicky thing that we'll get to
No,
later.
Flanabam
baby.
is.
Let's go.
Listen, you Google the term stickler. Flanabam
Hello.
is the stickler
It's
of all
literally
sticklers.
just my ugly picture.
No, it's not. He will never allow something to just skate by.
But this is why I love
respect that
doing
about
this
him.
with you guys, because I am half Flanabam and I am half Mike D.
Yeah,
That's what makes this,
It's
that's what
so
makes this
fucking
perfect.
good. I love
It's a
it. I
great
love
it.
scale
I
of
love it.
people.
it's a great balance.
Like I like that we disagree on so many
I love
things.
it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it brings,
so
it
good.
brings diversity to the podcast.
Well, that's what we do, baby. It's what we do.
That's right.
And shout out to women.
Shout out to
Always.
women.
Shout out to
Always.
women. Yo, you
We're
guys.
gonna have a banner
never-
running
Yeah,
this
yeah.
whole loop. On
I
a
will
loop,
never
Joshua.
nitpick women.
No, hell
women
no.
is not
No.
anything to be nitpicked.
Shout out to women.
No.
We are a pro woman podcast.
Always, even when we're horny by accident.
And yeah, so yeah, exactly.
It's just
Sometimes we're
because we
horny,
love women.
but like it's not like that's also us loving women.
Yeah.
Right.
But speaking of which, we need to get our girls that we met at WrestleMania
yeah,
on the pod. We need to get them on the pod. They're very
Yeah.
good. Love
Absolutely.
love them. That's just a little sidebar.
Yeah, shout out to Krista B.
They're
and Queens
women.
PR.
Shout out to women.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Hendry.
Yes.
So he says right now, I'm in a situation, this is a quote, I'm in a situation where having historic collaboration between TNA Wrestling and WWE. We're in a situation where TNA have worked it out with WWE where I can appear on TNA as a contracted talent. I can appear on NXT, and I can train at the Performance Center full-time and do indies and do signings. This is unprecedented. It's never been done before in the business, so thank you to TNA and WWE for figuring it out. Yeah, it is unprecedented because, I mean, who would have thought a TNA contracted superstar would have had pretty much all of his appearances, but specifically the concert that they promoted.
Yeah.
And that they would have given that to somebody that was a non-WWE superstar, and the concert was great.
Yeah, they literally promoted him the week before without him even being there.
Right.
Like, it's not like he showed up and made the announcement. It was a video package.
And we talked about it, the way they've teased him on main roster shows, the way they've teased him in so many different spaces. Like, clearly the buy-in is there, and I think it's. I know we've talked a little bit about like the Forbidden Door maybe only opening one way, but I mean, who has the leverage in this situation? Naturally,
of course, it's
the WWE.
yeah.
So I'm sure TNA is like, okay, well, while we might have liked for you to send back maybe something a little different than the Rascals or other things, but we understand that
that's also awesome.
that's been amazing.
Yeah.
Loved it. But I think they're like, okay, this is one of our stars who we are figuring out what to do with. We had talked about recently, we thought he was going to get the belt. They obviously pivoted and put it on Nick Nemeth. But I wonder if they're thinking...
I think he's still going to get the belt because October is Bound for Glory, which is TNA's
Is
WrestleMania.
the big one, yeah.
So I think that's where he's getting the belt.
So even that, and I think they're also maybe like, hey, we got Joe Hendry being built as a star already. We can put the belt on Nick Nemeth because that also helps.
Right.
So I think even from TNA, you can see obviously the huge benefits they're getting on front of the camera and behind the scenes. But it's been awesome. And Joe Hendry, kudos to him because he's been handpicked for this.
Yeah.
Like, clearly this is something that whether they planned it and were like, hey, we really want to rally around this one guy, I think it was more the opposite. They saw his potential and like, that's the guy. Let's fit the role around him instead of fit him into a role. But clearly it shows how much they trust him on both sides, how much they see a future with him. And also ultimately, a lot of these guys' aspirations and, men and women's aspirations are to go to the WWE. So I'm sure TNA is fully understandable of that. And they're like, hey, if we can get a nice little rub out of this, why not?
Right. I fully expect, I don't know when his TNA contract is up, but I fully expect when it's up, he'll be a signed WWE talent.
Oh, 100. I think it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
But also, I'm almost looking at TNA and NXT as like a National League, American League type situation.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? Like they're not under the same parent company, but like if that door is open, and I think it eventually will open both ways. I think it eventually will. Maybe not like as extreme as TNA is to NXT.
Right, you're not going to see like a women's champion showing up on TNA more than likely.
No, but I think you will see.
I think eventually you will see
a combination of belts.
Oh, I agree. I think there's a great chance. They announced this week MSK are going to be challenging for the tag team titles. I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
Yeah.
The NXT tag title starts showing up on TNA.
I could see that happening for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where it's like. American League, National League is kind of my best way to put it, where it's like...
And we love interleague baseball.
And we love some interleague. And, these are all things where seemed impossible 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
It makes sense.
18 months ago.
Right.
Think of, and I know this is something we want to get into in a second, but think of the opportunities that now those, WWE and NXT primarily wrestlers get to now work with Joe Hendry. It's another person you get to put in the ring with them and get to train with them and do all these different things. So he's also benefiting everyone else he's been in the ring with because, like you mentioned before we started and we've talked about before, Joe Hendry's not new to the wrestling game.
No.
He's been around for a very, very long time. He's now just seeing some of that mainstream success because he's getting that opportunity in the big leagues.
Right.
So I think it's awesome for him to also be doing a little bit of teaching and working with the younger.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of him with his experience now being at the Performance Center is great for those college kids that they signed that have no wrestling experience. He can absolutely be a great sounding board for them to bounce ideas off of or to just listen to if he has ideas.
Yep. Yeah, he loves being there. Clearly, the NXT crowd clearly loves him being there.
How can you not?
And NXT is in a great place.
Yeah, it is.
Including this week with Great American Bash. I thought it was... I didn't get to watch the whole thing start to finish. I saw some of it. I even thought the main event was great. Shout out to Thea. Like, she's...
That was a really good match.
Put on
She's
a show.
somebody who... I think she's an acquired taste. I think her quirkiness can be
She's also still really young. I mean, she's genuinely.
She's like, what, 21?
Yeah,
20.
She's 20 years old.
She only just turned 20. What I really hate the most about that match is if you combine those two women's ages, they're only 8 years older than me. 40, it would be 42.
42?
Yeah.
And I'm
me
like,
too.
that's gross.
Yeah, me as well.
I watched. I'm like, that's first of all, shout out to women.
Ladies, shout out to
women
you.
are not gross. Them being that young is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Them being that young and that talented right away.
Yes.
I'm like, well, that's not cool.
No,
how does that get to happen?
Insane. Yeah, they put on a show. Thea, shout out to Thea. I thought the match was great. We know what Roxanne can do. We've seen it in so many different spaces. Thea delivered again.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that match wouldn't have gone quite as long, or they wouldn't have done quite some of those spots. But clearly, they trust Thea. They built her up. You can see how much better she was than a few months ago, a year ago, etc. Like you mentioned, the gimmick is definitely acquired taste, but as is that whole stable of Chase U. But again, so young, and for her to put on a show like that in a big spot, like Bash at the Beach for them is a big thing.
Great American Bash.
Excuse me, sorry.
It's all good.
Great American
This
Bash.
is Bash at the Beach.
Yeah, we're Bash at the Beach. But Great American Bash, obviously the big thing for them, 2 weeks for them to give one of the main event spots to obviously the women, but to have Thea in that spot is obviously kudos and recognition of her growth.
2 women and only one of them's just barely over the age of 21.
Yeah.
And they got to main event a show, which is awesome. That's so awesome to see.
I think Thea Hale's going to be a star.
I agree. I'm not going to lie. I may be in the minority here, but I actually almost kind of thought she was going to win because I thought for sure Roxanne's got to be due for the main roster soon.
Like, it's
not like she has that much more to do on NXT.
I don't think Thea's ready yet.
I mean,
and they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it Tuesday.
I mean, they did it for Trick Williams on regular NXT.
Yeah,
I know.
He beat Ilya on.
But there was way more. I don't think Thea doesn't have
break.
the same juice that Trick does, though.
Oh, I agree.
You know what I mean? So like Trick,
which if anything to me
Trick.
makes more of a reason why she would do it on a weekly as opposed to save it for a big PLE. Like Trick is a bigger thing. You save it for a bigger event.
Definitely more of a pop surprise.
I don't
Right.
know.
Well,
You save it for a
that
big
angle.
arena with Trick as opposed to
Yeah.
your small NXT performance center. where I
Right,
forget what they take.
but Trick also has the like pull power that
does
like
have
the
that.
average
Yeah.
person will tune into NXT for him, where
I
Thea
agree.
does not have that.
I
So
agree.
Thea is more likely for me to need the PLE crowd or viewership to win a title than Trick Williams would have needed to do that for him when he won his NXT title.
No, I get what you're saying, but to me, Trick would sell the PLE. Like more people might tune
The
in.
PLE's
knowing,
going to sell regardless, though.
Yes and no.
It's going to.
I think with NXT,
No, it's a fact.
I think NXT needs more of a card than like a main roster PLE does.
Right, but
I think NXT still needs to kind of have a main event to draw. Not the crowd. The arena itself will sell out, but I think the viewership they need that.
More people.
reason to tune in,
Here's my. More people are likely to miss Thea Hale winning a title on NXT on a Tuesday night than they are if she was to win it on a PLE. Whereas Trick Williams was appointment television, where like you were tuning in to see his chase week to week because he was that electric. I'm not saying Thea can't get there, maybe not to Trick's level, but I think right now like it wouldn't have made sense for her to win on a Tuesday night because that would have been missed by a lot of people, and then it would have been like.
Well, the one thing I definitely agree with is especially now looking back on it, the fact that it was on a different channel.
And it was on
Like,
Sci-Fi.
yeah,
it was on
That's
Sci-Fi.
a good point
Yeah,
that I
that
didn't
could've
think
been
of that they did.
Shout
do
out to
it on
Sci-Fi existing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to save this till we got into Raw, but here's my other really nitpicky thing. So, Sci-Fi, when it first launched, was spelled SCIFI.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
stands for science fiction.
Right.
No,
What
it's
the fuck does
SYFY.
SYFY stand for?
That's a great.
That's not science
That's
fiction.
not science fiction.
But
That's,
it's still supposed to stand for science fiction.
I don't know what. I don't.
What the fuck is
We need,
SYFY?
We need what was the guy from X-Files?
Keanu Reeves? No.
No.
Very Keanu Reeves adjacent.
Yeah.
We need him to figure it
David
out.
Duchovny.
David Duchovny.
Yeah,
Well, I
David
think he would
Duchovny.
know.
Sex addict.
He would
Yeah.
know.
He's addicted
Is
to
he?
sex.
He came out as a sex addict.
Oh,
shortly after X-Files ended.
Shout out to women.
Shout out to
I
women.
was
Shout out
just
to
going to
women
say I
wrong.
vaguely respect him
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, shout out to him. But I
long
mean,
as it's all consensual,
X-Files is
it's
also
fine.
a fire show.
X-Files.
Yeah.
And that fucking incredible theme song.
We have to get into SummerSlam. We have to get into SummerSlam. We are 40 minutes in. All right. SummerSlam going down this weekend. I think it's going to be one of the best PLEs cards, minus the main event that we've had in a very long time.
According to CM Punk, it's better than Mania.
I could not disagree more, but
That's what he said. This card is better than Mania.
I think that it's awesome that we have a match like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. We're going to get into that. But first, let's go through the card a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to start from what I think. This is me. This doesn't reflect them. From what I think is bottom up the matches I care about. I'm going to start with the matches I care about the least
And work to your most
and work
important.
my way up to what I think is the best. The match that I care about the least on this card,
The undisputed.
unfortunately, is probably Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa.
I knew it.
I felt like that's where you're going, especially when you started with fire card minus the main event.
Yeah. I listen. I do not acknowledge Solo Sikoa as my tribal chief. I never will. I think that he is somebody who is being elevated to be something that he's not. No disrespect to him from a human standpoint, but I don't like it. I'm not into it. I think the 3 straight SmackDowns having him stand tall over Cody, I think was stupid. I get what you're trying to do. You need to make him believable. I think he is somebody that was probably always going to be an enforcer. Probably worked better in a tag team. I'm not buying him as a solo superstar, and I'm not buying him as somebody that's capable of beating Cody Rhodes. And if it does happen, I think it's stupid, and I think this is all setting up just for Roman Reigns to return. Fellas, what do you think?
So I agree with 99% of what you said. The only other thing I think you're missing, and nothing's been predicting this is just kind of a gut feeling I have, is it's not just a Roman return. I think it's also a Rock return. I think we see The Rock at SummerSlam.
Okay.
And I think...
Okay.
I don't know why, especially because he's been booked as like the leader of this new bloodline. So that could be why the pre-show. Well, it's not. We can get to that later. But it feels more and more to me like Solo's gonna lose and Rock's gonna kick him out. And then because he's Jimmy and Jay's brother, they're gonna convince Roman to bring him into their bloodline, and the original bloodline is gonna come back together.
Okay.
Ooh.
And you think that Rock replaces Solo?
Rock is revealed as the actual head of the table.
And the
replacing
Tongas
Solo, and the Tongas
Fatu.
and Jacob Fatu stay with him.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you think Solo goes with Roman
Solo,
and the
not
Usos?
right away. That Roman has to be convinced to let him back in, but throughout up to maybe War Games, maybe the whole thing actually finally comes together with them back together at Mania. Maybe like it starts at War Games, like Roman's like, all right, we'll let him on the team, but I'm not trusting him yet. Maybe they even lose at War Games and Roman blames Solo for that, so they still kind of build to it. Ooh. And then Mania, they all come back together.
Here's a fantasy booking for you. If you don't think that Solo is going to... And I actually don't hate that at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of that makes
I actually
sense.
like that a lot, and I think it makes sense. Because I do think that Rock has to come back as a heel because he already told...
take the title from Cody.
He already told Cody that he's coming back for him.
I think he's beating Cody at Mania.
There's a good chance. I mean, it would be chaotic, but I think that The Rock already told us as an audience, Cody, I'm not done with you. I'll be back.
Right.
Him replacing Solo makes a ton of sense. Or pushing Solo to the side, whatever it may be.
Right.
War Games, then, if you don't think Solo makes his return before then to the original bloodline, Sammy drops Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. Does Sammy go then become the 4th member?
No. I think Solo is the 4th member. He's just not actually in the bloodline yet. Roman's like, all right, I'll accept him as part of this team.
Okay.
Solo takes the pinfall in War Games. They lose War Games, and Roman's like, see, this is why he's not in it. Fuck him. He's not in it. And then Mania, maybe he helps Roman win.
Himself.
And he redeems himself, and they all come back together as now we're the bloodline again.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that as like War Games is kind of like his trial period, kind of like his first test.
Kind of like what they did with Sammy,
right?
A few years ago,
right?
Where like they made him test himself with KO, where he kicked him in the nuts.
Now, I guess my only concern with that, because I think that could be possible. My only concern is can Solo, and I don't know, and the reason why I have trepidation with this is what we've seen from the last months. Is he capable of doing what Sammy can do in that role?
No, of course not.
That's my concern. Is like, can he?
With all due respect to Solo
exactly.
Sikoa,
I don't know that he has the gimmick.
To be fair,
the banter, the wit, all of that stuff within the gimmick to be kind of like teetering in, out, this, that, the facial expressions, all those different things. I just worry, does Solo have that in his toolbox?
But to be fair to Solo, I don't know if there's anybody else on the roster that can do that to Sammy's level.
That is true.
Solo's also only ever been a dick.
Right.
Like from the beginning, he's only ever been a dick.
Right. We've genuinely never seen him as a babyface.
Yep. He was Roman's dick.
Even in NXT, he was a dick before that.
Hold on a second. We
love women.
No, shout out to women. He was Roman's enforcer, which made him a dick.
Yeah.
And then he went right into replacing Roman, self-proclaimed.
But even before that, in NXT, he was a dick.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't even a face at NXT.
So he's kind of a one-trick pony.
And he's only become... I gotta figure out another way to say this.
In NXT, he was a very good character. Yeah. So if they can get that Solo on SmackDown doing the Bloodline thing, I think it could work.
Yeah. And he's only become... I'm just going to say, he's only become a better dick. in this new role that he's
shit.
been in. Like
Right.
and I think that's the reason why similarly I'm like at my wit's end with this whole Solo shit, because I think he's actually in some ways doing what they want him to do and what they
Right.
intend him to do. I just think similar to you, Mike, I just don't believe
Does
it.
he have go away heat?
Like I just
Right.
don't believe it.
Does he have
Like,
X-Pac heat?
I think
that's
he's doing
kind of what it is.
everything they're probably asking him to do behind the scenes. I just don't think it's going over the way they intended,
Right.
and I don't think he is seasoned enough to know how to pivot in those moments, like we say with
Right.
Sammy. And that's no fault of his own. Like he's still very green in this business.
Yeah.
If he wasn't Rakishi's kid, no slight to him, he wouldn't be in the spot right now because of how green he is.
Right.
And that's no indictment on him at all. So I think similar. Like and I remember shout out to No C when he was on, and he mentioned the bloodline. Like at that point, I don't know that I had the same concerns or reservations, etc. But again, similar to your booking, I don't love ending SmackDown every week with the four of them in a dark room. Like that does nothing for me. I don't get that. I don't need that.
Especially because it's been so cut and paste. It's the same thing every week. It's not even like to do it differently.
And I think too, the thing that is not helping is Jacob Fatu is just outshining him around every corner.
The rumored concerns came true.
Yes,
like,
like, exactly.
They were facts.
And you would think, like, again, I think they also probably know that behind the scenes. That's probably why they're like, okay, well, we're going to pivot soon. Jacob Fatu just outworks him, out facial expressions him, out promos him, and he doesn't say anything. Just a few things. Solo, I love you from the ring. All of that, the hugs. It doesn't help that fucking Tama Tonga can't get out of his own fucking way and can't even finish a spot every week.
Do you mean Tongaloa?
Tongaloa, sorry. Tama Tonga isn't nearly as bad, but also I haven't loved what he's done much recently.
Which sucks because I liked when they first arrived.
Yes, because I think he can be doing more. But like Tongaloa, like the guy's got one eye now. He fucking couldn't do the spot on Kevin Owens because he got knocked out hitting the table. He couldn't. Like he also like and I don't know how much
on
is
his
him.
debut.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to get anything right, so that hasn't helped. And then Jacob Fatu has just performed, and it hasn't put Solo in a good spot. So I think a lot of it might not necessarily be an indictment solely on Solo, but around what's around him and also what they're expecting him to do. I just don't think he's capable of it right now.
Which I think with my idea, he gets a change of character.
That makes a lot of sense.
He doesn't have to be the top guy anymore.
Just be the
and now you can
enforcer
bring
again.
in a definitive top guy in The Rock, and you can have Jacob Fatu be his right-hand man like Solo was for Roman.
And it makes sense because
he
you
would
also
fit that role perfectly.
Stable-wise, you can look at it. You have Jacob and Solo, the two enforcers. You obviously have the two heads of the table in Roman and in The Rock. You have your tag team in the Tongas and in the Usos. Like it matches up perfectly. I can absolutely see that happening. And one like literal direct family together, and then another kind of family together. Like it checks the boxes.
Mostly family.
Mostly, yeah.
And none of us expect Cody Rhodes to lose.
No, I mean, how the fuck does he look like? It would be a riot.
Unless they really want to swerve us.
Yeah, it would be a hell of a swerve.
It would be one hell of a swerve.
Especially because I see a major title changing hands earlier in the show.
And also, nepotism could be at play here, so you never know.
That's true.
Can't rule that out.
No, we can't. And I honestly, I really, really hope Solo just puts on a great match.
Yeah.
Like I do like Solo the worker.
I think
in so many ways. So I think just put on a great match, Solo. That in that way. You know, hopefully, I definitely think Roman is coming back. Yes. I like the idea of Rock coming back too. So I think, Solo, I think you're almost at the end of your like temp job right now. Just kind of ride this out, get through it, and then hopefully you can be positioned better to what you do well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do think Solo, the worker, is actually a good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think they don't give him. I think his in-ring work doesn't get enough credit because his character work isn't what people are.
But he's not. I'm sorry, he's not a WWE championship guy.
No, he's far from it. Far from it.
I don't think that he is. And like, could he have gotten there someday? Maybe. But like, is he really ahead of guys? I know there's different brands, but like, is he ahead of guys like Jey Uso, for example? Like, if you're Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, I think will get there.
Yeah, but like even right now, where they are on the card, it's like if you were to say who would you put in a match on Sunday with Cody, and Cody could drop the belt to them and they'd run with it, I think we'd probably all put the belt on Braun over Solo at this point.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it, but if it had to be,
But also, I mean, that's I think that says some things.
Yeah. Ilya Dragunov. Even.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I genuinely would put the title on Ilya right now.
I would. Maybe not the. I think the IC title is in. It's in good. It's in a good place.
It's very much back to that early '90s of like Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog run.
Gunther, credit Gunther for making it what it is now, and it's in a great position. And I want to get to that match in a second, but first we're going to matches that I care about the least. This is the only match left that I really don't care that much about. The rest I do actually really care about. It's Bayley and Nia Jax.
Shout out to women.
Yes. Shout out to women.
I agree. That's actually the one I'm the least interested in.
When you're
personally.
talking about stories, and it's the one, that
it's the one with the weakest
There's
story
nothing
on the whole
I think it
card.
lacks the most.
I
There's
agree.
nothing there.
Right, there's
for
nothing
this.
there. They're
Nothing.
forcing it. I mean,
It's
I
only
think
because Nia won Queen of the Ring,
Yeah,
and they
right.
already established she's going to get a title shot.
Of course.
So now we got to figure this
and
out.
we know why it's not Liv. So
Right.
Nia has been and has improved, I think, in the eyes of a lot of people. Even the dude I was sitting next to at SmackDown in Worcester a couple weeks ago, he was a big Nia Jax fan. Shout out to that dude. He was hammered, but he loved Nia. And I think she's made a lot of improvements. I think Bayley, and Nia will have probably a decent match. I just don't. This particular story is doing nothing for me.
The build.
100%
the
agree.
build. I think the build is what has now corrupted the match. And I think the payoff, because my thing is I could honestly see them giving Nia the belt.
I
But
can honestly see Tiffy cashing in on this match.
Well, that's the other thing too is, and I know we'll get to that. Well, we're not talking Tiffy, but I haven't loved this whole Nia Jax Tiffy thing. It hasn't.
Yeah,
done
I
anything
haven't
for me.
either.
I think it's also cooled. I think it's cooled both of them off.
Yeah.
I think it's cooled off Tiffany a little bit, but she obviously has so much more else to keep heat on her. But I don't think it's done any service to Nia Jax.
No.
You have a title match coming up, and you're ringside with Tiffany and all these different things. And I get the way they're framing it because I got to keep you close so you don't cash in on me. But no, that doesn't make any sense. There hasn't been a build. Literally, the only memorable thing I heard from Nia Jax was saying that Bayley had a BBL.
Right.
That was great. I was there for that. I was there for that. I was live, and I said, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
Shout out to women.
And I'm pretty sure that's all natural. Shout out to women.
It
out to
definitely
Bayley.
is all natural.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Anybody who's
It's been
been
like that.
known
It's
Bayley
been
for a
like that since
while,
she
it's
debuted.
been there.
Shout out to women.
Shout out to women, but also horny pod real quick. Bayley has been embracing the booty a little bit more recently.
More.
We can admit that.
Yeah. I think she's
Okay.
a lot more comfortable
She's okay.
with it.
'Cause,
And I also
hugging-
think her
hugging
gimmick
Bayley-
allows it a lot more. Hugging
Yes.
Bayley, it makes sense. I'm not going to lean
Yes.
into my
Right.
big ass. Like
She was all
I
about the
get
kids.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but now she's embracing the booty,
Yeah,
which we
right.
love,
Yeah,
man.
she's
But
a
listen,
grown woman.
everybody, booty is beautiful.
But I also think I don't think Bayley's been done any service here with the bill because
No.
she hasn't.
No.
There hasn't been anything much for her to do.
Which,
No.
unfortunately for Bayley, because I'm a huge... She
I love
actually
Bayley.
might be my favorite of the original 4 horsewomen.
Bayley's WrestleMania build was one of the best
So
stories of
good.
the
That's what I'm
weekend.
saying.
Literally,
yeah.
since she's won the title, it feels like she's just been an afterthought for them.
Yeah, well, she kind of got forced into this with the whole Queen of the Ring thing.
Yeah.
with
But I
Nia
just feel
Jax.
like even her other storylines haven't been anything special to me.
No, there hasn't been anything memorable
Like,
for really
Mania
either
was,
of them.
what, 4 or 5 months ago?
And it's a shame
this is all
because
we've done with her so far?
Heading into Mania and obviously coming out of Mania for Bayley, both her and Nia Jax were hot. They were
Yeah.
white hot in their own respective ways. And we gave so many kudos and so much love to Nia Jax for her progress and all the different things she's done. She looks better. She talks better. She works better. All these different things. And I feel like it's all going to go for naught.
I think this storyline in particular, and this isn't listed because there's no matches, the men's tag titles. Did you guys know there hasn't been a men's tag title match on a PLE since they
I
separated them
forget
at Mania?
sometimes
I
who
did
the
not know
fuck are
that.
the
Yeah.
men's tag team
Exactly.
champions.
I think that's the main reason why they need to bring back brand exclusive pay-per-views.
yeah.
Because then you put those on pay-per-views, but not the ones they did in 2016 where it's Raw and SmackDown both get one each month. One on 1 month, then one on the next month, and then
Yeah.
on a big show
Yeah,
like
you-
SummerSlam, you bring them back
you
together.
give a lot of time for
Give
story
them
to
time
build too.
build,
Yeah.
Exactly. If this rivalry had 2 months to build as opposed to 5 weeks or whatever it's been, I think it'd be better.
Yeah,
It's
and I
actually
think
kind of
it's-
crazy. There's no tag team titles being defended on this
They haven't
card.
been on a PLE
SummerSlam.
since
It's SummerSlam, dude. Think
Like
about
some of the best
TLC.
SummerSlam,
Women's
yeah,
tag
think of
titles.
some of the best SummerSlam matches we've ever seen have been tag title matches or tag matches.
And we'll get into the reason a little bit later, but there's also a 3 fucking hour pre-show with not a single match on it.
Yep.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And it's frustrating because you look at DIY and then you look at Waller in theory. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because what have they done for storylines? You got
Right.
now the Waller in theory thing, just slow build in terms of the breakup. Is it going to happen? What's going to happen? Nothing there. DIY, we only ever see them backstage now. They
Yeah.
don't do anything. So, like, I hate it because it's going to be an indictment on them as tag teams because they're the champs. But, like, what is being done in behind the scenes to position
But like
them?
not even just them, but now especially now that like Bobby
Oh, the
Lashley's
whole
not going to
division,
re-sign,
yeah.
like the Street Profits I think could sadly fall, and it's
Yeah.
like if you're not the Bloodline, I don't give a shit about you as a tag
Yeah.
team. It's kind of how it comes across at the moment.
It's
Or
frustrating.
Judgment Day.
Or Judgment. Well, I mean on SmackDown, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean
even
on
the
Raw,
way-
it's just
yeah,
Judgment
even,
Day
and
what other
they
tag
doubled
teams.
down on that by having
Yeah.
the Bloodline go in, making that change, having them come in last. Like, oh no shit, of course they're gonna.
Yeah,
fuck
that
with
was
the gauntlet.
stupid.
They come in
Right.
last. Like, what are we
How
doing?
anticlimactic was
That's what
that?
I'm
At least
saying.
build them up to be monsters.
Yeah,
Right.
It made no
You know what I
sense.
mean?
Run through everybody,
Yeah.
make them first.
It makes
Street
no
Profits
sense.
get,
Yeah.
And we know this is a pro women podcast and a pro Street Profits
Yes.
podcast.
Absolutely.
Street Profits deserve much better than what they've been getting.
Yeah.
so
Way
far.
more, dude. And it's so it there's been a lot of we can't really complain as wrestling fans these days.
No, I mean,
a lot of things they've done right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some people get
I'll be
left
honest.
behind.
99% of the product is in the right direction, but the 1% is really not that's really in the wrong direction. Is the problem? It's not even kind of in the right direction.
And the thing is too is we
going backwards.
We know it could be better.
Yes.
Because we've seen it be
Yes.
better very, very recently. So I think that's the frustration.
And it also makes less sense because Triple H booked tag teams phenomenally in NXT.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we know we can
with
do
an
this.
emphasis on
Yeah.
tag teams. That was his thing. And I think it was cool when DIY had the titles for are they the champions right now?
They're champs right now.
They're champs
right now. It's
Exactly.
SmackDown, yeah.
Exactly.
See?
Holy
I
fuck.
often forget who the tag team champion
And
is.
that's fair.
God. But it's good
Because,
that
you
he's
never
got
Best
his boys
fucking
back.
tag team belts ever,
Yes.
and they're being wasted.
Yeah.
They brought back beautiful tag team titles,
on.
Yes.
and now we don't even
Come
know who
on.
the champions are. Sad.
Bring back brand exclusive pay-per-views so that way it gives these things times to shine.
I like that, Flanabam. I think that's a good call. I agree with that. Okay, now moving into the matches. Again, this is me. I'm speaking for them. I
You're
apologize.
2 for 2 with me so far.
All right,
Mike.
perfect.
2 for
So
2.
now
I would flip them, but otherwise I do
Yeah.
agree with
Okay,
that.
fair.
2
I
for
think
2.
that's fair. Here are the matches that I'm actually really looking forward to watching. Still now starting from what I think is the least interesting to the best.
So
Fuck,
there's-
he's gonna switch it on us.
Well,
but
I will
same
say
thing.
there's still one I'm kind of I don't care
Ooh.
that much about, but it could be the one you're about to say. We'll see.
Is it Logan Paul,
Yes,
LA
it
Knight?
is.
Okay,
Yes, it
so
is.
I am looking forward to this strictly because I think this is LA Knight's time.
I agree.
Yeah.
It better be.
I think it's too obvious for Logan Paul to be in Cleveland and leave as the champion. I think this is a great opportunity to get. All right, let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. How many people Cleveland SummerSlam do you think are actually going to be there for Logan Paul?
Very few.
His friends and family.
Right? So it's not as if
He's not
Logan
the
Paul.
draw.
It's not as
No.
if LA Knight's going to have heat
No, he'll
for
be
beating him in Cleveland.
The pop when the LA Knight.
me insane.
pops are
Logan
gonna be
Paul's
nuts.
going to go into that match as the heel.
Yes.
The crowd's going to boo him.
100%.
Right.
Because you also have to remember, I think this is going to be very similar to what a WrestleMania is, where I think a lot of the crowd's going to be from outside of Cleveland.
Definitely.
I don't even think it's going to be a big
agree.
Cleveland crowd.
100%. 100%.
So
I mean,
they're not going to give a shit that he's from Cleveland.
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So starting there,
It's going
this-
to be the Jason Kelsey thing all over again. He showed up at WrestleMania,
Yeah.
and most of the crowd didn't give a
And
shit
what
because
did he
they're
have
not
were
on
like,
his,
who?
and what did he have on his head? A luchador mask.
That's right.
Shout out, Lucia. We're gonna get you one of those.
Just show that to your wife just on
Yeah.
repeat. Be like, no, but look what he's doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look.
your wife.
Look at what he's
Everyone
wearing.
loves Jason Kelsey.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, actually, no, that's true.
My
Jason
wife has
Kelsey's
no
awesome.
idea.
Hey.
My wife has no
clue.
clue who that
Fan
is.
have to agree. He's
exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
No,
He's
my,
the great Kelsey.
my wife won't know
Thank
who
you.
he is. So
You just tell him he's Taylor Swift's future brother-in-law.
Yeah.
she hates Taylor Swift.
Then
Sorry.
don't
Listen,
tell her
hey,
she's Taylor Swift's
she
future
might know who
brother-in-law.
Jason Kelsey is. At this point, she might not have had known enough to come back
listen,
to you and be like, I know, but she might know. He's fucking everywhere.
This isn't like a
That's
wife.
true. He's been at the Olympics.
Shout out to women.
every
This
year.
isn't a
Wrestling
wife
every year.
brag podcast, but my wife is more of she's not She's not a big pop culture person.
That's fair.
Okay, she's in the book. She's a very she's
That's awesome.
Shit.
she doesn't get involved in all the gossip
As-
bullshit.
as somebody who's
so
been-
she's not. She doesn't follow the Taylor stuff and whatever.
As somebody who made a New Year's resolution, I almost said revolution because wrestling.
Yeah.
As somebody who made a New Year's resolution to read more this year, I respect that.
Yeah,
Being in the
same.
books is awesome.
I did the same thing actually.
Yeah,
I've
did
read,
you?
I've
20
read
years
2
ago.
books.
Same.
Yes, it's perfect. There you go.
Which book? If we read the same books, this is gonna blow my fucking mind.
I read a
doubt
book.
it, but
I read a book called The Fourth Wing.
okay, no, we didn't.
I'm in the middle of reading the second of that series, and I read another book. It was a legal thriller. I don't remember that. It's a very popular author. I can't think of
James
the name.
Patterson.
I'm still reading.
James Patterson. No, not James
John
Patterson.
Grisham.
John Grisham.
John Grisham.
John
He does all
Grisham.
the legal
Yeah,
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
John Grisham. It was one of his
The
books.
Firm. I think
Nope.
that's because I
Nope.
think that's like his big one.
It
That's better
was
than me, man. I'm still
yeah.
reading Matt Christopher books from
That's
middle
fair.
school. So.
I have them still at my mom's house. If you
I
need
mean,
them.
come on.
I read both Jurassic Park books this year and then watched all 6 movies. Don't watch all 6 movies. Only the first one's good.
Fair play. Shout out to reading and shout out to women.
Shout out to women.
Yes.
Shout out
Anyways,
to Jurassic Park 1.
Yeah.
back to Logan Paul, LA Knight. I think LA Knight does it. I think this
I
is.
agree, yeah.
It
You
has
got
to
to
be
shit
the
or get
time.
off the pot when it comes to LA
If you
Knight.
don't do it now, you have to bare minimum move him to Raw.
It's yeah.
You need to do something with him.
Or
You
if
gotta-
not
you have
even
to.
just let him
it
go.
Has to. If they don't, honestly, if it doesn't happen this weekend, how does it happen? How do you not keep him still relevant and hot?
Right.
And all,
Yeah.
like, you have to. We've all thought this could have happened previously.
Yeah.
I also think we all thought that if it wasn't for some other new faces or elevated faces coming in, he likely already has the belt
Right.
or has some
Right.
sort of run
He
there.
got usurped.
It's got to happen now.
Like-
I also want to give him a lot of credit for this build. And just in general, like he's dealt with a lot of shit, and he's done a hell of a build with a guy who's not really around much or never in the ring, or I got to cut a promo and he's on TV, or he's here next week. I thought he's done a great job. I also want to give Logan Paul a lot of kudos.
Yeah.
His promos have gone a lot better. His in-ring work. I also love that he's kind of embraced fully, like, no, I can do whatever the fuck I want around here. I think he's teetered around that, but I think now that he's more comfortable on the mic and in the ring with his surroundings, he's done a better job. But yeah, it's absolutely time to take that belt off him and give it to somebody who's more deserving.
Like, they definitely need to finally pull the trigger on LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
We weren't doing the podcast then, so I don't know if you guys felt the same way. But, like, I remember last year's Money in the Bank, I really thought, like, oh, this is when they're going to do it. Because he was insanely over. And I'll give him credit. They've been able
back to the Mountain Dew match.
Yeah. And they've been able to, like, maintain that level of overness.
Yeah,
even since
and
then.
So much of that is him.
Right.
Yeah.
He's maintained that because he hasn't had all
Yeah.
the opportunities and the cheap rubs or the and not no slight at all to Jey Uso, but like they're not also sending him to the corridor to come in for his entrance and doing all these other things that they do with other stars similar caliber of him. So he's done an amazing job.
And he also, I like his interaction he had with Carmelo Hayes, where like it kind of showed like, hey, Carmelo, you're on your way.
Yeah, slow the fuck down, kid.
Let me show you real quick what a professional, like not a professional. I don't want to disrespect Carmelo Hayes like that. He's obviously a professional, but like
a seasoned veteran.
And I forget he used a sports analogy when he did it.
Yeah,
right? I was even because he's so good. He's good with the pop culture references. He's good. He's someone you can send to signings. He can be a poster child in so many ways. He has without the belt. So now give him that opportunity to really cash in and say, hey, this is the strap. You deserve it.
It needs to happen.
I want him to win it, and then at maybe around Royal Rumble. I want him to lose to Mike's reference just there and drop to Carmelo Hayes. Because I also think he's getting close to being ready for that next step.
Yeah, he's done a good job.
I fucking love Carmelo Hayes.
He's done a really good job in the limited segments and opportunities he's had. And also one other thing in LA Knight is like, no slight, but he's not young.
No,
he's not. He's been around a minute.
Old man in wrestling terms.
Like mid-40s.
So his window is not opening.
Right.
His window is closing, and he needs these shots because he deserves them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think he's roughly the same age as AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it happens this weekend. I think we're all in consensus.
I'm glad that we're all in the same boat on that because, I mean, what does Logan Paul at this point keeping the U.S. title do for him? He could go win. Yeah. He's a believable WWE champion right now, in my opinion.
Contender. I don't know if I'd ever believe him winning yet, but I believe him getting a shot.
Yes, right. I'm saying like I don't think he needs a U.S. title
I believe him
getting
a shot more than Solo getting a shot.
1,000%. I mean, I think that's easy.
And
he
doesn't need the belt. Like when you have these social media stars, all that. Like the gimmick is the gimmick. He doesn't need anything else.
And also, let's not forget, dude's been holding it since last November.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a reign, so it's not like he needs.
He's defended it how many times?
Exactly, like 2 or 3 times maybe.
Like, it's time. It's time.
I 100% agree.
So that match, we all agree, LA Knight, it's his time. It's his time to do it.
Yeah.
Looking through the rest of the card, I think we're going to go. Again, these are all matches I am looking forward to, by the way, from here on out.
I think we're...
The IC title
strongly
match.
We're all
I was going to guess the next one.
Yeah.
My next one would be the IC title match.
The IC title match, I think, is next up on the list.
That one I'm very looking forward to.
I'm very much looking forward to this because I think it's also Braun Breaker's time. Because I think we love Braun Breaker, but we can probably consider Braun Breaker the heel.
Yeah.
Obviously, right now.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be as if LA Knight winning a title. It's going to be all faces like it was at WrestleMania. I think Braun Breaker, I think it's his time. I know some people were unhappy with Sammy retaining it Money in the Bank. I think this is a bigger spot for Braun, and I think it makes more sense to put it on him now than it would have at Money in the Bank. And I think that it's inevitable. And then Sammy can potentially move on to a different program with the Bloodline or wherever else.
Yeah.
He has connections everywhere.
Sammy takes that step to the main event that he should be in. That I think he's going to be in come Mania. I think.
And unlike Braun, there's no clock ticking on
No.
Sammy, right? Like, fair or not, like people think, okay, Braun, what's next? Sammy has the cachet where he can kind of figure it out and kind of float a little bit. Not that he should, because that could also turn bad, but he doesn't have to have something. Like, he doesn't. Like, right away. No. He will find something organically.
And more, also to your point, like, Sammy can afford the loss more than Braun can. Especially if they have Braun lose clean again.
Because he lost it clean in Money in the Bank, right?
Right, yeah.
And
one Haluva kick. It wasn't even like he needed multiple to put him away.
But I do like they embrace it. And I do like that. I hated I feel like we've gotten more into you don't need 8 finishers. And if you can, I miss the days where you could catch somebody off guard with the finisher and pin them.
Yeah.
Even if it's a 3.1 count. I still love those days. So I actually liked, because then Braun has now come out and said, hey, I underestimated you.
Yes.
That was my fault.
I like that
won't do
promo
that
from
again.
Braun. I really
that was
like that
great.
promo.
I thought it was really good.
They recovered well from it, but personally, especially if you're trying to build up somebody like Braun, I kind of would have liked more throughout the match, not even just like
But think about it from
at the end.
But think about it from a sports perspective, right?
Right.
Sometimes people underestimate their opponents and they get fucking caught off guard. It's happened in boxing. Look at Buster Douglas. It's a great example.
Yeah.
Like, you catch one good shot to the chin, it's possible that these monsters can get defeated if you catch them off guard. I think that's needed more in wrestling. I hate spot fests. I hate fucking 18 finishers. I hate 25,000 super kicks. This is my AEW hate real quick. But like, I miss the days of storytelling and being able to be like, hey, expect the unexpected without, needing it to go 30 minutes where you hit 17 fucking haluva kicks and 18 spears and you have to hit 4, crossroads in a row to be able to, which that made sense because it was Roman. But anyways.
But that's my thing. Like,
I don't think it's needed for everybody. Braun's not there yet.
I agree it's not everybody, but it helps make him look bigger.
No.
Like, if you had done that, it makes him look, especially the era we're in right now, people's mindset isn't, ooh, the haluva kick's a big move. People's mindset is, oh, well, Braun Breaker's weak as fuck.
Yeah, but Sammy also beat Gunther.
Right, but
So
I think
you
even
have
that took
that
more than one
cachet,
haluva kick.
But you have that cachet on
But
top
I'm
of
just
that.
saying that's not how people are going to look at it. That's how you're going to look at it, and I respect that, but I just think the majority of people are going to look at it as, well, you only needed one, so Braun's weak.
I think similarly.
I'm not saying even I look at it that way. I just think that's how the majority of the audience will look at it.
I don't know. I think they've done a good job.
Finishers have become such a weak thing in general. I completely agree with that. They do need to strengthen finishers again.
Yeah.
But
I think similarly, and I feel like Switzerland here. But no, I think I see both, and I think for me, it's what else do you do with the storyline?
Right.
For it to make sense.
Right.
Because I agree similar where it's like if you got Braun, you want to build him, you want to make him look strong, it's got to be this, and this. But also, to your point, Mike, I like the fact of you can catch somebody off guard, you can get a roll-up pin, you can do these things. But had they left it alone and not discussed it, I would have probably been frustrated.
Right.
But by them doing that promo with Braun and Braun acknowledging it and leaning into it and saying, next time I'm going to be better, I'm going to think about this now. How do you script the match on Saturday?
Right.
If you script it the right way, now that promo comes in, the last match comes in, we have a perfect story, it ends the right way, and that's what I love and I think have always loved about is just having programs, like programs in wrestling. Like we used to have you knew you were going to get a year-long build and you were going to have this match and that match, and this one was going to win. Even the way they did it last week where they had Braun in the ring, and then Sammy ends up getting the best of it. And it's like, okay, now that perfectly sets it up for Braun to go over on the weekend because you have that balance, you have the promo. So I think they've done it so well, tying up the loose ends, dotting those I's and crossing those T's, that I can see from both perspectives, but I think the story has been so well put together that I think as long as Saturday goes well, it's all gonna be fine.
Right. Which, not to try to sound too defensive or anything, but to be fair, that is what I led with. I think they've recovered from it nicely and they addressed it well. I just didn't like it in the moment that it was only one haluva kick.
Fair.
I do think they've bounced back and they made it work, but at the time I was like, well, give them more.
Yeah.
And I do think most people looked at it that same way.
Yeah. I'm a mostly kayfabe guy, I watch it from the perspective of like, can I make sense of why that happened?
Is he our third cousin?
Yeah, I might be. I might be.
Now part of the family.
Oh.
I just I don't like getting into the
Couple
weeds.
matches and he's in.
Right.
Sometimes I think where we lost the plot as wrestling fans over the years, becoming too educated and too smart, is sometimes we look too deep into that shit, where it can just be simply like from like a tactician perspective is like, okay, that makes sense. He underestimated him. He caught him off guard. He hit him with the haluva kick, and he pinned him, even if it was a 3.1 count.
What?
A Hogan 3 count, where he like kicks out as a fucking 3's hitting.
Well, I think where we all lost perspective with it is that if you go back and look at the Attitude Era, arguably the most successful era in professional wrestling, like people needed like 40 finishers to win matches.
Not really. There was 75 interruptions in interferences and shit.
It was rare at that time that people won on one, or won clean on one finisher, which is why I think people still look at it as we need that now in a match. I don't think we do, but I think people look at it as we do. And hopefully Triple H throughout time, if we're patient enough, he'll get back to the old way of, one finisher can win a match.
I'll never forgive professional wrestling for ruining the super kick. I think that to me is the biggest travesty in the history of wrestling.
Well,
Yes,
you could argue before that the DDT.
Yeah.
Jake Roberts used that as his finish, and then it became a transition
got
move.
ruined first,
Although,
but the super kick, come on, man.
I will say, I don't mind it because I look at it the same way both Jake and Sean have said they look at it as, these people do it, but since I only need one, I do it. Like, it makes mine even look more powerful.
Right, but
Like Jake Roberts lands one DDT and a guy's out for 10 minutes as opposed to me hitting you with a DDT and you
especially
bounce right
where
up.
finishers have come these days. Like, for instance, and I'm just thinking of this. Obviously, we love women, and this woman in particular, Jada Parker. Like, her finisher is a hip attack.
Yeah.
So, like, looking back at the history of wrestling, would that have ever been something that finishes someone? Like, no. So I think that part of the evolving, maybe.
Like, that finisher fits perfectly in, like, 1985.
Yeah.
When you just said it a minute ago, Mike, is I think sometimes, like, we always talk about smarks, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we just are smarks ourselves because we just don't know any better. We get sucked in and we're like, no, that doesn't make sense because of this, because of this, because of this. And then it's like, all right, well, if we take a step back, then I think sometimes we just do it to ourselves in terms of, because we love the business and we are naturally educate ourselves, that we fall into being smart marks too. Because we're like, well, that doesn't make sense, or this should be.
Nobody works themselves into a shoot more than a wrestling fan.
Yeah. True. But it's part of it, I guess. It's part of it. Next, where you guys think I'm going next?
World title. I think it's Priest Gunther is next.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Because that's my next as well.
Because I think the two matches left after that are the two best stories
by like
of the weekend.
Gap,
yes, by a decent
gap. With all
gap.
due respect to the other matches that I am very much looking forward to, there is a gap between the top two and then the next.
I would the way we've gone through this card, I would love for that to be the way it plays out on Saturday. I don't
that
think it
would
will
be.
be.
I agree.
I think
it
will be
won't
for obvious reasons.
Cody's closing that match,
especially with the run-ins and everything. Of course, you can't have.
Plus with
Roman and Rock.
And then all of a sudden, like, all right, ladies,
let's
go follow
have a show.
that.
Yeah, you can't. But in terms of matches and when I'm excited, this would be the same order.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is a huge spot for Priest. I'm going to be honest. I don't really know where they're going to go with this match.
I think Finn Balor's costing him the title.
You think so?
I do.
Okay.
Hey, now.
I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with this because I think obviously we think Gunther is the favorite.
Yeah.
It feels inevitable.
Feels like it's time.
Yeah.
But is it too obvious?
I've seen a lot of people say that, and they say, let's hold off and put the title on him at the Bash at Berlin. And I get it. It's in Europe. He's Austrian. It's close-ish. But, like, SummerSlam's a bigger show. If you're going to do it,
no, it's a bigger show, and it makes it. In theory,
SummerSlam,
it makes sense for Gunther to win the title, right? But I think if Gunther beats Damian clean, Damian loses a lot.
Which is why I don't think it's going to be clean. I do think.
You think Finn's going to interrupt?
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
I don't know.
Right. It puts the title on Gunther, which I think all of us would love to see, and I think it keeps Damian strong because it's like, well, he had him beat, but Finn fucked it up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird. It's a weird spot. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think Damian Priest. They really like him. They really believe in him.
He's really proven that they should too.
Yeah,
they've really dug into
He's done his job.
He has
done his job.
They really leaned into him being the underdog, coming from nothing. Gunther being this like machine that had all the the tools, and Damian Priest didn't. And
so you think that's why Priest is going to win?
I don't know if that's why he's going to win. I'm just thinking why are they laying into it?
I'm just going to say if that's why you think he's going to win, you clearly do not remember WrestleMania 19, where it was Booker T versus Triple H, and it was people like you, Booker T, don't beat people like me. And then he was right. People like Booker T. I meant undercard people. I didn't mean a black guy. Okay, sure you didn't.
Yeah. Well, that was also what?
It's a lot different back then.
WrestleMania
2003, absolutely.
2003.
It was a very long time, but I'm just saying, just because it makes it look like, they're not going to shit on the, quote unquote poor person.
But,
they might. They actually might.
In that promo, man.
Yeah.
Man, scathing, but in all the best ways.
Yes.
And Priest handled it in all the best ways, and for a reason, and we're going to get to it when we talk a little bit more about probably a match that's coming up next. The way they had that promo, especially last week, the way Priest just got in the ring, thought about saying something, said, no, fuck it, I'm just going to punch you in the mouth.
You think that one's...
Like, I'm not saying that was the best one.
Sorry, I'm just saying, you think that match is next? Is it the one I'm pointing at?
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
But
good to know, because I'm on the same wavelength as you then. Okay, yeah.
But no, I think just the way we talked about that promo with the three of them, I love that Priest got in. I was like, I'm no more talking. You said what you said. I said we're getting down to business. Even, again, that promo, like Gunther going there, he did it so fucking well. I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, I'm listening to this, I'm like, oh my God. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's leaning in, but because he can. And Priest, similarly, we've talked about this before. Priest promos have come a long way, but he's matched them, and he's elevated at every turn. And I think part of me, like, selfishly wants to see Priest keep the belt because I sadly don't know that even though I think the company appreciates him and likes him and all that, I think if he drops the belt, it's going to be so fucking hard for him to not plummet back down. I just don't know that they're going to do a good enough job to keep him hot and keep him relevant and put him in the right places. Granted, he should, because of what's happening with the Judgment Day. He should still have an angle, particularly with Finn or other things, but I just don't have faith that he's still going to be hot once he drops the belt.
So I'll get to it a little bit later when we get to a later match. I think there's one specific reason why, at least not right away, he won't fall down the card, but I 100% understand the concern about it, because like it absolutely is something that could happen.
I'm worried about it, and I think he's deserving of so much more now. And I think he's proved it and cut his teeth.
So I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say Damian Priest retains the title somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think that maybe Finn tries to screw him and ends up helping him. Maybe if we're buying into the Judgment Day split happening this, at SummerSlam, I don't know if I think it's too obvious for Gunther to win. I just think it's too obvious. I think that they're gonna hold off.
To be fair, obvious isn't always wrong though.
No, obvious isn't.
Sometimes just because something's obvious, it's still the right move.
No, I know, but I'm thinking you have to have a swerve somewhere. We've all agreed on.
I have where I think the swerve is coming.
Okay.
It's a very bold prediction on my part, but it's what I think is going to be a very...
Not in this match.
Not in this match, no. Well, I mean, kind of in this match, because I think Finn's going to turn on him, but that's not what I think the big swerve of the night is.
Similarly, I do think there is a swerve. I think, 1, Gunther gets a belt.
Yeah.
2, I don't think it's clean.
No.
I do not think it's clean. And I could see Finn Balor. I can see Ludwig Kaiser playing.
I was going to say, where the hell has he been?
Exactly.
But does he screw him?
Kaiser's injured.
But at what level?
And as far as I know, he was supposed to be out for like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not going to go in there and have a match. But can he come out there?
I get it, but if it's a 3 to 6 month injury, he might not even be able to take a bump.
What about homeboy that got booted from the Imperium?
Ooh, Giovanni Vinci. This is my.
Where the hell has he been?
SmackDown, and then they haven't booked him once.
Nothing.
This is like
his fucking solo NXT run was amazing. I still remember when he caught Apollo Crews in midair and lifted him up. Like
where the name Giovanni Vinci came from.
What are we doing?
So do we think that? I mean, I don't know. That's a reach. But
I do think there's someone. I think someone is going to come in. I just don't know who it is.
To help Gunther?
No.
I think
it's just going to result in Gunther winning.
That's my thing.
It could be.
I think it's the opposite.
I think Balor's thing is to cost Damian. I don't think he gives a shit that it's helping Gunther.
No, I think it's the opposite.
Do you think?
I think he's going to potentially try to screw Damian, but ends up helping him somehow. And then that's how Gunther loses, because I think we can agree we don't think Gunther loses clean.
Yeah,
no. If he's losing,
it's not going to be clean. But I think it's going to be one of the
have him lose clean.
No, absolutely not. And it wouldn't happen. But I think that there's been so much emphasis on Damian being able to do things alone, right?
Yeah.
Finn, I want to do this alone.
That's been his whole shtick.
That's been this whole thing. I think that somebody's going to come try to quote unquote screw him or something like that, and they end up helping him.
Okay.
And then Damian, that's what's going to really cause a Judgment Day to split in the long run, is saying I didn't need you, even though he did.
Well, here's my thing. Triple H, as it's been well established, loves him a long-term storyline, correct?
Yes.
Do you agree on that? Do you remember last year's SummerSlam? Do you remember who Finn Balor wrestled at last year's SummerSlam and how that match
Refresh
went?
my memory.
I don't.
It was him versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title.
That's right.
And Damian Priest was Money in the Bank champion, and in that match, he slid the briefcase in for Finn to use, and Finn got curb stomped on top of it and lost the match.
Yeah.
Basically, Damian accidentally cost Finn
so
the world title.
You're talking
so
1 year long-term
a year
booking
later,
here.
Finn cost Damian the world title.
Okay.
Ooh.
And it ends up kicking Damian out of
because
Judgment
that
Day.
can absolutely, because that could be like, hey, I've known, and we've known that, or at least we've felt, and we're going to talk about this now, what may happen with Liv and where Finn may or might not have been involved there. That's a perfect way to say, yes, this has been my year-long way to get back at you, and I've been building purposely to the right time to screw you.
Yep.
And this, that would be fucking awesome, long-term booking.
And I think just because Finn comes out, the initial instinct is going to be that he's there to help Damian.
Of course, yeah.
They haven't split yet. They're still Judgment Day. So then it's the swerve that he cost Damian.
And also, this split has to happen.
Yes.
I think we've kind of dragged it on plenty long enough here. It has to happen, really soon.
I don't know.
It's either now or never, because it feels like
I don't think it's
they're starting to run the course on
I don't think it's now or never, because I think that you have enough between Damian and Gunther for that to be its own thing, and then you separately have where maybe it's just something as simple as Finn and Judgment Day do come out and help Damian, and then Damian retains, and then afterwards yo, I don't fucking need, why did you do that shit, and then that causes their rift leading up to War Games.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of,
I feel like we've seen that.
That's my thing. They kind of already did that with Money in the Bank.
We've seen a lot of things happening now that we have already seen at Money in the Bank.
That's what I'm saying, though. They literally just did that same thing of Judgment Day comes out, helps Damian win. Damian's pissed about it. At the very last PLE.
And I think part of my logic here this is the last straw. Also because I'm looking ahead to what I think is going to happen with Liv and Rhea.
Right.
So that's also part of why that also involves a Judgment Day for me and what could come of it. So I think also that's me lumping that into this entire Judgment Day potential split.
Well, I'm only giving you half of my thought process right now. Because I'm waiting till.
Let's get into it. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
Next match.
It's next match.
Next as well.
Next match. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
It's the next match, but man, I can make an argument that it should be the fucking main event match.
They are close.
It would never be positioned that way, but man, that storyline could be, especially if what I think could happen does play out. But it won't. So.
Yes, I mean, what a great story this has been.
Yeah.
They kind of fell into it, no pun intended. But
we love women, but I'm not.
Shout out to women. Shout out to women.
Just want to preface that before we get into this. Cause,
Liv Morgan has been one of the top superstars of the year. I think one of the top wrestlers of the year. I think
on the run of her lifetime.
Run of her lifetime. I think she's incredible.
And that's no knocker. She's had great runs before this. So that really shows how good this run has been.
I put her up there. I'd say top. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can make an argument, I think, for number 1, 2, 3, like somewhere in the top
current
3.
Women in the business?
Just superstars in general, men or women. Yeah. I mean, this program, she has been amazing. Doing the double T's between, the comeback, the revenge tour, right, and having that whole thing exist beforehand, hurting in real life Rhea Ripley, and then now being able to like usurp her position as the leader of the Judgment Day, right? Kind of wooing
and
them
even
all.
Getting the belt off Becky,
getting the belt off,
like
all of that. I mean, she has done an amazing job. She's been booked phenomenally, but her acting and the way she looks.
Shout out to women.
Shout out to women, but that jean short night. I mean, I still think about it. Shout out to you, Liv.
Uncle Howdy, a very lucky man.
Yes, it's been great. It's been really, really good, and I think that Rhea going away actually somehow benefited her.
Oh yeah.
I
mean,
because it kind of gave her a new story to run with. I mean, she would have been the monster champion still.
And it
probably.
gave her all of the spotlight.
Yeah,
right.
It's very, very hard, literally and figuratively, to be in the ring standing next to Rhea Ripley and her not be the spotlight.
Right.
So it was the perfect opportunity for, hey, here's the ball, run with it. Your running point. This is your show. Cut your teeth, and she's done it so well. So even that, like her being the main focal point, has done her wonders.
Because I will say, to your point, Mike, that she, if Rhea doesn't get injured, she's the monster champion still at this point. I 1,000% agree. And I think the storyline was building to Liv versus Rhea at SummerSlam anyway, but it's such a different storyline that who knows if it's even this interesting still.
Right, and it's exactly.
It could very easily be in the Bayley-Nia Jax level of interest.
It could have been.
And I think the injury, as unfortunate as it is that anybody gets injured, it elevated that story exponentially.
Definitely, and Dom, shout out to Dom, did his part too.
Yep.
Dom. That swerve on Raw the other night was awesome too. Last week, not this past week, but the week before.
Yep.
His acting I thought was pretty spot on there.
Yeah.
Listen, Dom just needs to cut all his promos in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because when that man flips the switch and goes Spanish, I know most folks probably don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He is
word he said, but he was charismatic as
just
fuck.
a lot of swears and same shit that
I didn't really know what he was saying.
Same shit that same shit we'd be saying in English, but it just sounds better.
Right.
And I think for him it sounds better. It sounds more believable for him.
It just sounds more natural.
It sounds more natural
he sounds
for
more
him.
Comfortable when he does
I've never seen him look that comfortable.
Same.
And I was just like, whoa, Dom. Like,
I wasn't expecting it.
This isn't me either. I wasn't. I really wasn't expecting. I thought we were gonna get that kind of sense of, oh no, what's he going to do all the way through SummerSlam?
Yeah.
And I think I actually kind of like it in hindsight because I think it leads to what I think is ultimately going to happen on Saturday. But I've never seen Dom so good in that one moment. But also, again, through this whole run, the kid's been good, man.
Yeah.
The kid has been good. And we talk about like Go Home Heat. He rides the line of. I think for a long time he rode the line of Go Home Heat.
I disagree with the Go Away Heat. He's always had the right heat. I think he's always had the right heat.
I think at first he had some go away.
I think a little bit, but I think part of it was from
very
like the nepotism of him being a face.
But now I think
he's
he's earned like some actual heat.
I think maybe at the very beginning of his heel turn, like 2 years ago, I agree.
But I think now he knows how to handle it more. Before he didn't know how to get a word in edgewise. And you've seen Gunther did it a couple weeks ago. You see a lot of great heels do it. They have the crowd in the palm of their hand. When you start a what chant, I know how to change my cadence of my promo to cut you off in the middle. I know how to get you back. I know how to say the one thing that's going to make you stop and listen. Dom is actually starting to do that now. and he couldn't do that before. He couldn't get over the crowd. Remember, it would have to be Rhea, it would have to be Damian, it would have to be Finn, who would say, hey, listen to Dom, to get people to shut up. He doesn't need that anymore. So, bravo to him, man. Kid's done a great job.
Yeah, he's done an amazing job, and we'll see what role he plays in this match. I don't know the direction they go in this. You got, like, Liv probably drops it to Rhea. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Nope.
Or do you see Dom play a role in actually swerving and now joining with Liv Morgan and helping her retain the title?
Because I think we're thinking the same fucking thing, sir.
I'm going to let you go first because I think we're mostly thinking the same thing, and I think I have an extra thing you're not thinking
I like that. So I think, and this was, for me, confirmed when Dom cut that promo and going in on Liv. I was like, okay, well, you're not going to do that now and then not have anything for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So I 100% believe that was part of the whole plan, that Dom and Liv and Finn or whoever else has been concocting this plan all along is to now get Rhea very, very comfortable going into SummerSlam, thinking, I got my Dom back with me, everything is going to go good. And I think it ultimately ends with Liv retaining because Dom screwed over Rhea.
So I 100% agree with that, especially because they did it the Dom thing 2 weeks ago and not even this past week. I think even if they did it this past Monday, it would have been more like,
little more,
he's probably not going to screw her over now. But
because it gave you the opportunity for Liv to go cut that promo she did last week.
Exactly. The one thing I think is going to happen, and this is very out there, there's been no like indication of it, but I don't know why, it's just what I think is going to happen, is everything you just said. Dom's going to screw over Rhea. I think you're going to have a moment of like a big hug or maybe even a kiss between Liv and Dom, and then Liv's going to kick Dom in the nuts. And she's going to reveal, like, I was using you this whole time. I don't give a shit about you. And then that's when she's going to align with Finn and JD. She's going to go up the ramp. They're going to come out and celebrate with her. And now the three of them are Judgment Day.
Because I remember previously when I thought that Dom wasn't a part of this, which I kind of now do, I thought same thing. Like, Finn is behind this, and him and Liv, when we talked about it, him and Liv were backstage, and JD were backstage. And I think the next iteration of the Judgment Day absolutely is Finn, JD, Liv, and whoever else. But yeah, I can totally see that being the additional swerve, 100%. Yeah. But I think,
and I forgot about Carlito. Carlito's going to come out with them. He'll be part of it as well.
Something. God, yeah. Kudos to Carlito. We talked about it a lot, but God bless that man.
So I don't know if anybody's picked up on this, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. But here's also why I definitely think Carlitos is going to be on Liv's side. Have you ever noticed when they do the Judgment Day Clubhouse segment and they're playing 2K?
He's playing with Liv.
He's always Liv beating up Rhea, and Dom and Carlito's the one playing.
That's some deep
so
shit
it's
right
like,
there.
It's almost like, hey, I hope you're catching this because this is what's going to happen.
I never noticed that.
Summer.
I always see them playing, and I don't know that I ever really noticed who was on the screen.
I noticed it a couple weeks ago. I'm like,
great call.
Oh shit, that's Liv beating up Rhea on the game right now.
Okay, Flanabam with some deep diving there on the
now
fucking
his poor
2K.
broken.
Right.
Yeah. I know they broke his place. Like,
bastards.
Really?
I love Carl. I wish when we bumped into him at Wally Mania, we
knew
this was fucking coming. Like, we saw the man and didn't know he had anything going on. Like, God
just
bless
backstage,
him, man.
just chilling,
just hanging. Yeah,
I mean,
fly
granted,
on the wall.
I was lit off of Henny and Pineapple, so
it may not have been a great conversation anyway.
And also, like, we had just ran into Gerald Briscoe, so I didn't really know. I don't know.
May or may not have also been off the Henny and Pineapple.
100%. Are you kidding me? GB was 100% off the Henny that night. Man. Shout out to Gerald Briscoe. Shout out to women. All right, last match. I don't know if it's the last match like of the night, but it's the match that we are putting as the one we're looking forward to the most. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Obviously,
does it kick off the pay-per-view?
Ooh,
that's a good question.
I know what, but that actually could be a dope way
that'd
to
be a hell of a way to kick off the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
because we know it's not going to be in the main event. We know that. I think because of where I think it should kick off the show.
Like, they're just so mad they have to start the night.
Like, literally, I wouldn't even mind if literally the show started and it was like backstage and one of them or both of them
jumps each other
with Pierce.
Rollins comes out of nowhere.
No, they can't.
They can't touch it until the bell rings.
But like, they're backstage and they're like, "Yo, and even if
we've waited long enough,
also it would be kind of cool if both of them were like, yes, like with Pierce." Like, no, fuck that. Right now, put us on first. We're going out there. Play the fucking music or not, we're going out. Like, the same way they've been giving us the call all the way through the Gorilla.
I like that.
To start
I like that.
Like, even if you say, fuck the montage, like, lean all the way in. As soon as you fucking go in.
I don't love that part of it, but I love everything else about it.
But, like, lean all the way in because that's the storyline. That's the gimmick. They can't touch each other, but they want to rip each other apart. Great. We got to the night. We're starting here. Where else would we start?
I actually don't hate that. And I think that's like such a... If this match is going to be as violent, as what's the word I'm looking for? Unhinged as we've been told it was going to be, as we've been promised that it was going to be from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
And from Seth, if we're being quite honest.
Yeah.
who's the wild card in this too, as the referee. You know, dressed up looking like homegirl
Beetlejuice.
from
I fucking loved it.
the chick
Wednesday?
from Our Real Monsters.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Right, the tall, skinny thing.
Good call.
To
yeah.
me, I very much more saw Beetlejuice, but I get
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah,
what my
Beetlejuice-
wife saw him and thought Beetlejuice
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw Our Real Monsters, but he's
a
gonna be
good
a
one.
wild card in this situation too. I would love if they just started and it was just like
go.
the
Yeah.
cameraman's like running from backstage.
Yes, chaos.
Because you know CM Punk's in Gorilla or Drew's in Gorilla saying like we're doing this right
Yep.
now. His music hits and then next thing you know, Cult of Personality hits. Rollins comes out like
Yep.
what the fuck's going
Perfect.
on
Yep.
and the match just starts. No
Yeah, like even you
montage,
kind of Rollins,
nothing.
the special guest referee comes out third.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
tell you, lean in.
I love all of that, but after the montage.
Got to the. I got you.
Like,
I
you
love
hit the
the
montage,
montage.
and then
Nah,
literally right after,
I got
it's
you.
just
Listen,
But I
I
do
love
think
the
these are the
montage.
times where you get away from it because you're like, hey, this is real, right? Like we're
Yeah.
going into it.
Yeah.
So
Realistically, they're gonna do a montage.
They will. They
Yeah.
will.
Of course
I
they're
know.
gonna do
I think
one.
that's asking a little too much. Even I know that, but same. It's start the show and start the show with chaos.
Because here's my thing: if you do that, you can't then hit the montage after
No,
the
you
match.
can't, you
How
can't,
the
you
fuck do you
can't,
not
you
do a
can't.
montage for SummerSlam?
I know.
It's your
True.
second biggest show of
Because you
the
want
year.
chaos. You want chaos in this match.
I think it's still.
No,
just
they're going to
as
do it.
effective
Yeah, they will.
right after the
Realistically,
montage.
They will.
I don't think they even start the night with it.
Probably not.
They're going to show Drew backstage, like holding the bracelet.
got faith in you.
I'm gonna be
Trips.
honest. I
Yeah.
think they
You know.
kind of. Yeah, that's actually a great
Yeah.
point. They're gonna want hit a
Yeah.
promo with him holding the bracelet.
Bracelet, looking
Although they
at
have a
it.
3-hour pre-show, so they could easily do it there too.
Yeah, they're not going to have enough people tune in
I'm
for
not
that.
watching that shit.
I'll have it on.
I'll
Like,
put it
while
on
I'm-
maybe in like the last hour.
I'll
But
be-
I'm not putting on all 3
What
hours.
if they really listen and lean in and they start the pre-show with this match and everybody misses it?
Imagine.
Yeah, that would be the funniest thing of all time.
They really
It's
couldn't
all
wait.
over. We just go on social and we see who
Yeah.
wins.
That would be incredible.
Dark match.
I'm gonna be honest, if I had to pick an opener, I think it's gonna open with Priest Gunther.
Okay.
A title will
Yeah.
open.
Oh yeah. A title. Yep.
I
Well,
think Priest Gunther,
Actually,
especially
I could
because
I think every,
Logan Paul,
every
LA
match
Knight.
besides CM Punk is a
But
title
I could
match,
also,
so.
I would have thought also Logan Paul LA Knight too.
I
Could
can see that, too.
easily start. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could easily start
Open
like
with that LA
Logan
Knight
Paul.
pop.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
LA Knight pop, or even Logan Paul's
Oh.
the first person we see. You know?
Also, keep
he
in
can come
mind-
out and cut some whack ass promo. It's SummerSlam and we're in Cleveland. It's
Well,
my
no, the
hometown,
Miz is
and-
the host.
Yes, but like
So
Logan
Miz is
Paul
going to
can do that.
open the night.
that's true.
Yeah, so that's
It's
going
gonna
to
go
Even
promo
fucking-
package into Miz.
Even
Yeah.
better, you go into Miz, and as Miz is in the middle of his intro,
That's
that's
where
where
you
you
do
go.
it.
Hey, we got chaos backstage. We gotta go.
That's where you do
Even
it.
better.
Ah,
You
shit.
hit the
Even
promo
better.
package to open the show. Miz is like, "Welcome to some." Wait, what's that?
Yep.
Oh, guys, cut backstage,
Yes.
cut
Yeah.
back, and then you just
and
see
Miz
the
is
chaos.
so good at that.
Yeah.
So, Trips, I hope you're listening.
Although it's Miz and R-Truth,
I know we've
right?
been away
So,
for a couple
like,
weeks, Trips, but
so
I hope
R-Truth's
you're
gonna make
listening.
some shitty joke.
Our
and
Truth
ruin
is
it.
going to be in Cincinnati.
That would
Yes.
be incredible.
Yeah. He's going to be in
He's
like.
gonna be at the Bengal Stadium.
Yeah.
Perfect. And it's gonna be like Truth. Like, hold on, Truth's calling me. Where are you? And then
Yeah.
he's up on the screen.
Yeah.
He's in
Hey,
Cincy.
where is everybody?
I love it.
Something
Him
like
and Joe
that.
Burrow hanging out in Cincy.
That would be cool.
That would
Yeah.
be good. Him and Puck hanging out in Dayton.
Shout out to
I
Puck.
would love
man.
it. That'd
Shout
be
out
awesome.
to Puck too.
That'd be fucking
He
awesome.
sent me. You know, I put an
He
order
shows
in.
up at Ohio State Stadium.
Yeah. Or who's the Brown? I mean, do the Browns even have rivals? Like, I guess technically anybody in the AFC North, but like,
everybody else in.
what? No, they don't have
No.
Or
rivals.
maybe he's just at the
The
Rock
rivals
Roll
are
Hall of
themselves.
Fame. Although that's
Yeah.
right next to it, so that
But
wouldn't
that
work.
could work because then he could literally walk right across.
That's true.
Didn't they do that
Um,
in Philly?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
across the
They were
street.
across the street for something. Mm-hmm. At SmackDown the night before, they
Yeah.
had something where they were across the street. Somebody
Yeah.
was
Well,
across
no,
the street.
that was,
Kevin Owens.
Waller
and,
was across the
no,
street, and then
yeah.
Owens went over. Yeah.
Kevin Owens and Randy Orton.
No,
Yeah.
went
They
to
went
beat
over
up
in the
Waller.
golf cart.
No, the other way around. They were Owens and Orton were at the stadium, and Logan Paul sent Waller in theory to go beat them up, but then Owens and Orton had come back from the
Yeah.
Yes.
stadium.
Yep.
While Waller and
Yep.
Gunther were there. I mean, Waller and
CM Punk's
Theory were
first solo match since returning to WWE. Obviously, got hurt at the Rumble.
I'm so worried about him.
first. I'm gonna go full Nick here. Technically, first televised match because he wrestled at the day after Christmas MSG show against Dominic.
You are such a fucking asshole sometimes. The stickler of all sticklers. You'll get it all here.
I'm just doing it so we don't get it in the YouTube comments.
Okay.
I'll be the live
That is
YouTube
true,
comments.
that is
All
true.
right. First
No stone
televised
unturned for you haters.
solo match for CM Punk since his return to the WWE. And I think there's a lot of anticipation on that.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
think, honestly, I'm going to be watching this match partially with one eye closed. Like,
I am so scared.
Like, I'm nervous for
I
this
am
dude.
so scared.
Honestly, I'm nervous for him. He is
He's
Fragile Phil.
yes.
He is
So
Fragile Phil.
scared.
They're so gonna do a Future Shock DDT, the move that tore his bicep.
Right.
Like that's absolutely gonna happen. And now I'm like,
just-
oh shit, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna tear his other bicep?
I'm
Is
so
he gonna tear the
worried,
same
man.
bicep again?
I'm
so
a little
worried
bit
about the
worried
guy.
about this match because I think that they have to go all out. They have to do some crazy
Yeah.
shit.
This can't
Do
be a
you-
7-minute match.
No.
No,
It's gonna
no,
be-
It's got to be 20,
We know
25.
Punk is
Cannot be.
capable
A brawl.
of putting on classics. We know Drew is, I mean, in his prime. but I worry about Punk's return. I mean, even like this time frame was always iffy. You know, it was always questioning whether it was going to be SummerSlam or Survivor Series.
I think a lot of the original expectation was Survivor Series.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is earlier than expected.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
I'm a little bit nervous.
It's like it's scary. You guys know from just watching sports and different things. Like when you have an injury, you usually will overcompensate other parts of your body to try to get back. So now you're prone in other areas, or you obviously have the ring rust and you're trying to go in there. So yeah, I am so fucking worried about it making it through this match. Not because of anything other than obviously psychology and this and all that. He's going to come back and that's all going to come back, but just the physical.
Yeah.
Only the physical is what scares the hell out of me. Similar. I'm watching with one eye open and very just cringing at every bump he takes.
Now that this would never even be a question I'd ask in the old regime, but now that it's a new regime, do you think we see blood in this match?
Yeah.
Do you think somebody's
bleeding?
I think somebody's bleeding. I mean, they've showed blood.
I don't mean just like...
You think
Punk? You mean I'm saying? You think
the hard way?
Bleeding?
Yeah, I think Punk's bleeding.
I think Punk's bleeding.
I mean, what's the clip that we saw Punk when he fucking stabbing his head under the announce table in AEW? Like, I absolutely think
all in.
I absolutely think he's. My only request is better blood this time, and hopefully, and that's why.
Or real blood.
I wouldn't even. just go for the real blood.
Or real blood.
And I usually we don't, but I think absolutely Punk's gonna.
Sometimes
bleed.
real blood is warranted.
I also think Drew's gonna bleed. I think they're both gonna bleed. I think they're both gonna bleed.
I think they have to both bleed. This is a match that calls for it. There's real. I'd say some undertones of real heat there. And it's been built for 7 months. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is going to be fucking awesome. I think that we have two of the best in the biz right now. Punk a little bit past his prime, but I think still understands the business enough that they'll make it work. You know, you're not going to get a 2011 CM Punk, but you're going to get...
Drew's going to have to ease up a little bit. Drew's going to have to stay in first, second gear.
And I think that Rollins is going to be the factor in this. Yep. I think Rollins ultimately.
But I think that's where he can also help some of Punk's in-ring stuff is with his presence in there.
Rollins is my big question for both of you guys because I've noticed I've been in the vast minority on this with most of the people I've seen online. What do you guys think of Rollins' involvement in the match in general?
I think it makes.
I'll be honest, I don't like it.
I think it makes sense from the point that he could screw somebody over.
I agree with
that.
And
I think neither one of these guys can lose. Clean.
I think this is the fair or foul, right or wrong, like it or not. This is the way of, hey, we do not want to leave 1 second of what's next. This is the way to have this next storyline start before this one ends and just go right into it.
But I don't think
Rollins is screwing one of them over.
Yeah.
I don't think this storyline ends at
the three of them. You mean?
I mean Punk and Drew.
Okay.
I don't think this ends at SummerSlam because Bad Blood's a few months away. There's going to be a Hell in a Cell match. I think it's those two, assuming Punk stays healthy.
It could be, but it's also this is going to get.
I think it's those two, and I think it's Liv Rhea because I think they're going to do a men's.
I think
it's possible. But listen, if now let's say Rollins is to screw over Drew McIntyre in this match, right? Even though he hates Punk more, probably.
If he's going to screw
that's some bad blood.
He's
going to screw somebody over.
Because then I also think that like Rollins kind of hates Punk more too.
That's what I think.
That's what I'm saying.
So I can see it where
Drew beat him for his title at WrestleMania.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, and that's the thing. It's kind of like there. And again, we talked about this. I think we all know that had Punk not got hurt originally, this is probably Rollins and Punk the way it's positioned. But
that was going to be a Mania.
Yes,
I don't know.
Where it would have been, but that would have been originally where the storyline went, and then McIntyre was just kind of thrown into it. And to his credit, he's absolutely crushed it. Yep. So I think that's where they're figuring out. I am happy it's not a triple threat match.
Yes.
So
same.
I guess I'm more. I usually am not a fan of special guest referees.
You might get one of those of Bad Blood.
Yeah. Well, and maybe I hope that doesn't come. I really would love for this to. And again, I don't know how this ends clean because it's the first time they're actually getting hands on each other. So I know that never always ends on the first one.
Right.
But also, I feel like you've built so much up before it that if you have a good match and it delivers, I think you do give yourself that out.
I just think this is the best feud we've seen in such a long time in the WWE.
It's the only match on the card that doesn't have a title attached to it. When was the last time a PLE had one of those?
Exactly.
And then would we see Seth go with Gunther?
Maybe that could be.
I mean, because I'm thinking like, what happens with Seth?
The three of these dudes are. This is their future for a little while. I think it is. I think
that just worries me because I think now
I don't want to see this.
And
turn
the reason
into
why it worries me, and the reason why it worries me is Monday night's promo. Monday night's promo is what I didn't enjoy it. I remember tweeting and being like, "Hey, crowd, like, what are you doing? I need you to be there." But also, I don't think it was the crowd's fault for that promo. I just don't think they did anything good.
But not every the Monday night's promo was not good from any of them.
So that worries me about all three of them connected.
Monday Night Raw as a whole, I think this week kind of sucked.
I agree.
In all honesty, I thought it was
for
overall pretty bad.
the SummerSlam.
Yeah. I felt like there
was really nothing
just
redeeming.
like in TV. Usually the penultimate episode is better.
Yeah.
Last week's Raw was way better.
Yeah. There was nothing
way better.
good there.
This felt so much like it felt like they were like, well, the Olympics are on. We're just gonna
we're on
sci-fi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they gave you your last USA episode was really good. Last week's Raw was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agreed. I did not enjoy it. I hope Friday better be really good.
Not everybody can be in the this is why I think this feud between the three of them continues after SummerSlam. Is because not everybody right now can be in the title picture.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is your most natural feud between three people right now.
But Seth could easily be put in the title picture while Drew and Punk continue.
He also said that, but if Damian Priest, what'd he say? Damian Priest told him if he wins,
he'll
get that title. He'll undo that, whatever
Right.
truce they had.
So the stipulation they had at their match at Money in the Bank was if Priest wins, Seth will never challenge for the world title as long as
Priest is champion.
Then the next day on Raw, Priest said, you can throw that out. We'll run this back.
If he beats Gunther.
He said, when I retain.
Right.
But then I also think Gunther's going to win anyway, so it undoes that rule altogether anyway.
Yeah.
So I could see Seth versus Gunther at Bash at Berlin, and then again at Bad Blood.
My prediction is Seth is going to screw over CM Punk. I think Seth is going to screw over CM Punk in this match. I think when CM Punk came back, he hated him. He said he hated him.
Yeah.
I think he also dislikes Drew McIntyre. I mean, kayfabe. But I think he has genuine dislike for CM Punk, which they will use to their kayfabe advantage. Yeah. And I think at some point CM Punk will do something to antagonize Seth Rollins, in which Seth Rollins will then either do a fast count, some type of bullshit for CM Punk to lose. CM Punk doesn't lose clean, sets up their feud, and Drew can go on to potentially fight for the title.
Very similar to how it played on Monday. That's how Drew was trying to convince him. Punk went out of the ring, and he yelled to come back in.
Because he did say he would get involved. Yeah. Seth did say, like, if one of you...
Well, that was the thing I know, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. Because I saw some people say, well, damn, like, why did Seth go out and say he was going to do all that? You got to leave it to be there. And, in kayfabe, you got to... But I'm like, we knew what was going to happen.
We knew it was going to happen.
I actually love that
don't play
I love that he leaned in. He's like, I might do this, might not do that, might count to 20. I love that because it's like we already knew that was fucking coming.
Right.
So there's no need to shy away from that. Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know who he screws.
That he leaned into it. Do you guys think maybe, especially because they've referenced it so much, maybe this goes down SummerSlam 97 style where Shawn was the guest referee between Brett and Undertaker.
The chair shot.
Oh, yeah.
The chair
Shawn
shot was the accidental
with
shot.
the chair shot. He accidentally hits Undertaker.
He didn't want to pin.
Count to 3.
And that was the first thing I saw. Like, literally, as soon as that was, I saw that video on Twitter.
Slides right out of the ring.
Damn just like, I wouldn't be surprised that happens. Because I honestly think it's going to be where
that camera's about to die, just a heads up.
I think throughout the match, in many ways, it might not be necessarily a pinfall. I think Seth is going to screw both of them throughout the match in multiple ways. Could be a pin, a slow pin, or this or that, but nothing.
I think he'll
too
tease
big.
it. I think he'll tease it the whole match, and then he'll actually screw over.
But then
CM
I think
Punk.
it might get to the point at the end where he doesn't, at least not purposely screw anyone over. I don't think he's going to purposely screw
screw
anyone over.
So you think it could go 97
So I think it could go 97, or
I think he's going to purposely
it ends
screw
up
over
being
CM Punk.
the pin goes over clean, but there was so much antics throughout. So yeah, because I think it makes a lot of sense to think he's going to screw Punk, because that heat seems a lot more real and long term and all that. But I wonder if that's the swerve that we get from Seth, because he's fucking Seth.
There
know.
is for sure going to be multiple instances of both Drew and Punk getting in Seth's face.
All sorts of fuckery.
Yeah. So final prediction on that. Flanabam.
I think McIntyre wins.
Okay.
I think McIntyre wins as well.
So we all agree on that.
Yep.
And
I just don't
with
know.
some fuckery afoot.
Yes.
There it goes.
Yes.
And there's a camera.
Yep. Just don't know how and when the fuckery is going to result in that. Or not, to your point. It could be where it doesn't and it ends up happening that way.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested, because I guess my concern is, again, with the three of them, like, how do you book them? How do you keep them all hot? How do you keep them all relevant? I think it's worked so far, but it's also worked because Seth has had other stuff he's doing in the interim.
Right.
Punk has been away. Drew's been, so I think I worry about just the three of them all together all at once. And maybe I'm thinking way too much into Monday's promo and it just didn't sit right with me, but I hope they get it right. And also, like,
move over more.
No, you're good.
Sadly, they have to fucking crush this.
Yeah.
The way this has been built, I think you said it earlier, Mike, this has been built, so people are expecting fireworks.
Yes.
This has to go well.
This can't be a lackluster match.
It can't.
No. Yeah.
This
It would
has
be
to deliver.
it would be one of the biggest disappointments of the modern wrestling if this match disappoints. And honestly, I don't think it's going to.
No, I think barring obviously injury or something.
Even if CM Punk is injured, he'll
get through it.
He'll fight
he's a
through
pro.
it because
He's a pro.
that he'll do something. He's going to be prepared for this. He might be fucking used up. Who knows?
Normally, I'd agree with you that it's definitely not going to disappoint, but only because we had Jimmy and Jay at Mania earlier this year, I can't fully commit to it's definitely not going to disappoint. There's a chance. It's a very low chance, but unfortunately, there's a chance.
There is a chance, but I also don't think that Jimmy and Jay are on the level.
That story wasn't as hot, but it was still a
but
hot
also
story.
even in ring, they're very limited. And I don't think that Drew and CM Punk are.
I agree.
In storytelling.
They also didn't get the timing they need. That is not going to happen.
Which got rushed because of Mania.
That's not happening with this match.
Hell no.
They're going to get all the time they need.
I agree. There were extenuating circumstances that caused that match to
I
disappoint,
agree. And that's the thing. I think
only because it did, it's still possible.
And I think that's why I'm on pins and needles for this one, because I think there's a lot of ways this can go. I mean, just look at what we had with Priest at Mania, the count, like not being on timing and all the different things. Like it could be something as crazy as that, where it's not even the fault of the three guys in the ring. Anything can happen. But I think because the expectations are so high, everyone's senses are heightened naturally.
Yeah. Well, we agree that it's the card is setting up to be an incredible event. Yep. We're very much looking forward to it. The pre-show is going to be very long.
So no matches. So what the fuck are they doing?
Matches.
They're gonna.
It's
gonna be video packages. It's gonna be fucking a bunch of bullshit.
The people at the table, I forget what they call them.
The panel, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking, you got Big E will be there probably. Shout out to Big E. We love Big E.
Yeah, I love all those people, but I mean, come on, folks.
All just because
you're asking
AEW
a whole hell of a lot.
Collision up.
Yeah, you're asking a whole hell of a lot. Here.
They're asking a lot.
Yeah.
I will have it on. I'm not going to be watching it the whole time, but I'll be doing shit around the house. It's a Saturday. I'm usually fucking doing some cleaning or something.
I'd like to, honestly, especially because, RAFC plays at 4 as well on Saturday. So I probably will try to lock into that 4 to 6, and I probably will tune in the pre-show for the first time at 6 o'clock.
To be a double TV night for me for the pregame. This is an extremely long show. Kayfabe Cousins, I know you typically do an AEW update.
Yeah, we can do like a 60-second.
I'm allotting you 60 seconds.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I'll say this. We have All In coming up at the end of August, so we have the next few weeks to tell you and bring you up to speed on the build and what's happening and all the different things. I think All In is shaping up to be a really, really good show. I'm excited. I've been really enjoying most of AEW the last couple weeks, but the one thing I do want to talk about and get your thoughts, Plan Bam, is Danielson versus Swerve at All In for the belt. There was rumors that Daniels' contract was up as of August 3rd, which is 2 days from now.
Which is SummerSlam.
Which is, Saturday. So there's potential that could be the case. I think we think and agree that he's probably going to hang around for a little longer and probably wrap everything up in Washington as his farewell match. But the stipulation that came out the other day that was announced, if Daniel Bryan does not win this match against Swerve, he's done wrestling forever. Yeah. And I want to make that clear because he was retiring from a full-time wrestler this year. He was still going to be making appearances. According to what he said the other day, if he loses this, we will never see him in a wrestling ring again.
Right.
Talk about burying the lead.
Yeah. And at the same, I could see him, maybe he changed his mind. He was like, the injuries he's been having lately, some of that is allegedly real.
It's all Jeff Jarrett's fault.
It's all Jeff Jarrett's fault, absolutely, because he told him to go all in. But I could also see him being like, where better to go out than in a stadium show?
Yeah.
I get Wrestle Dreams' his hometown,
and
but at the same time,
over a champ that deserves
that's also from his hometown.
Yeah.
It's the next Seattle guy.
Because that would be a very Daniel Bryan thing to do. Also, again, the Seattle connections, we've all talked about Swerve not getting maybe the respect as champion he deserves. So I could see Daniel Bryan doing that, but also I don't think that motherfucker's ready to hang it up.
I don't think so either, because it also very much gave me, before Danielson joined WWE, he had one last PWG match where he wrestled Chris Hero for the PWG title. And everybody knew this was his last match there ever, and he won, and then vacated the title right away. So, something like that could still happen.
Wow. Yeah, crazy. But my first thought of stipulation was like, damn, you buried the lead. Now we know who's going to win.
Right.
And I think in a lot of ways we probably thought Swerve was going to win, but also wouldn't surprise me if Daniel Bryanson Bryan Danielson, Jesus Christ, got the belt and had a nice little run with it until he ultimately dropped it at what would have been his last show.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I think there's still a little bit of doubt, but for the most part, it's probably going to be Danielson winning.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, we'll give you the rest of, what is it, All In coming in?
All In, I want to say August 25th.
Yeah,
so we got a few weeks. We got time to talk about it. A lot of great storylines.
It's a big Summerslam show today.
Yeah, exactly. We got time. We'll have a big All In show when the time comes.
Yeah.
We gave you an extra long episode today. We were gone for 2 weeks.
There's a lot to get in.
Yeah. A lot to get in there. I am home on paternity leave, so hopefully I'll be making some more clips over the next couple of days. But regardless, we would love all the interaction. Make sure you hit us up on social media. Comment on our YouTube. Make sure you're subscribing. Send it to your friends. We're going to be doing this every week from here on out unless I have another kid. Well, I can't have another kid for a while, so.
You're not looking for Irish twins?
It's possible. I mean, still a few
you're
weeks away from
you're
that.
still within the window.
I thought we were the Irish twins.
Oh, you guys
yeah.
are the Irish. That's right, yeah.
Right,
We already have.
Mike's already got Irish
twins.
Yeah, exactly. We already got Irish twins on the show. But yeah, continue to subscribe.
I don't think
continue
I have
to like,
a baby
share.
on the way, but I'll keep you guys posted.
You never know.
I don't know. I might.
You definitely don't know.
It
Flanabam
could be
has-
what's in me right now.
This guy's for the streets. We don't know. We
Flanabam
don't
has
know.
children all over the world.
He was hanging out with Sexy Red for a little bit.
That's
so.
a good point.
My homegirl.
And this is a big weekend
Shout out
for
to
you.
women.
We didn't talk about
Always.
your match with LeBron, but
Oh, yeah, shit.
Are you
We
ready?
didn't- How did we not put that on number one?
we'll get into the recap of that
All
match
right.
Yeah.
We'll get
next
that.
week. We'll
Make
see.
sure to tune in
Tune
for the
in.
all 3 hours of the pre-show.
Tune in to see.
my
I mean,
match.
LeBron is coming all the way back from Paris. Just
I
for the
know.
match, so
just for the match
And
with
then
you.
he's probably got to go back there because I doubt they're going to lose.
And Sexy Red is performing your intro song too.
yeah, I don't know what it is yet. They haven't told me.
Rich
I
Baby
think it's.
Daddy.
I think it's either Rich Baby Daddy or Get It Sexy.
All right.
Both fit you very well.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody back here next week. Peace.